All right, this movie came out 30 years ago. I saw it in the theater. I think it's one of my favorite movies of the last 30 years. And I don't really know what makes it so rewatchable for me when I know all the beats, but it moves like a sports movie, but it has heart. I think it has real lessons, especially now that I have kids and I'm a parent and I've gone through some of the stages when you want something sometimes even more than the kid does. It's got all that stuff. It's got this really cool chess plot that I've never really seen in a movie until Queen's Gambit, which I thought did a nice job with it. But there's just a lot going on and I like all of it. Why did you pick this?
It comes at that VHS boom where this is something where when I'm in kindergarten, it's playing constantly. When I'm in middle school, now it's on like Cinemax and Showtime or whatever. And to your point, they don't make these movies anymore. They don't make live action for kids movies that the drama, the acting, like the murderers row of actors who are in this. I'm like, wait, they were in this? Is this even still a kid's movie?
Yeah.
And I think I texted you, this movie like foundationally taught me something about the human experience and what it means to be an athlete versus an artist. Like that is I didn't even realize until rewatching it very recently. I'm like, oh, this is about not only chess, but what does it mean to win? And when does something that you're playing become more? When does it become art? And can those two things coexist?
And if you have a gift, what's your responsibility to it?
Yes.
That's the other theme I love. What do you love about it, Van?
So, number one, there's a mythology to the movie, and the movie starts with that mythology, and it's like this quest for this American chess giant whose absence is so felt by a community, right? That they're waiting for this chess messiah to reappear. And in that way, it's very much like a lot of the mythical type of stuff that I watch. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like,
that's a good point. I didn't think of that.
In that way, it's a lot like, hey, one day this guy's going to come back to deliver us all, and everybody's waiting for him, and they see it in a young child. There's a weird, like very accessible sort of religious thing to it. Who is going to be the literal second coming of Bobby Fischer? Why did Bobby Fischer disappear? The movie starts with this mystery. This guy came along. He was this chess phenom, which, by the way, at this point in my life, I think I was around 11 or 12 when the movie came out. It's 92, right?
Yeah,
so
93.
It's 93. So I'm like 13 when the movie comes out. I had never heard of Bobby Fischer. So that story at the top, this guy came around, beat the Russians, just like Rocky did. I'm thinking, oh, another guy beat the Russians. Like, we're doing good against the Russians. And beat the Russians, did all this, and then he just disappeared. I'm like, why? Why? What happened to him? And then they go back to him every single time. So the curiosity is there for that. And then it's like, can somebody else be that? And then...
Well, also, when the movie came out, there was still a big shadow with Fischer. It'd be like if Jordan retired after 92, but then disappeared from the country.
Did people still care, though, in 93?
They did.
Yeah, they kept saying Bobby Fischer in the movie, and I'm like, was he still this much of a looming figure?
In the Wide World of Sports generation, it was like him, Muhammad Ali. He was like these 70s icons. And I felt like when I was growing up, he was one of the icons.
And it's interesting because I asked my parents, I was like, yo, why didn't y'all tell me about Bobby Fischer? And my dad would be like, oh, it's the chess dude. Like, well, he disappeared. It's like, it was, my dad is not like...
It was like D.B. Cooper or something.
Yeah, it was like, that was a known thing, that this guy had been around and he'd become world famous, and then he just freaked out and left. Something else about the movie that I picked up on this rewatch that was really interesting is that the movie is kind of, in a way, about the price that you have to pay for greatness.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest theme.
Right.
It hits it every 20 minutes. You see somebody who's like, oh, that person went sideways.
Yeah. So like in that, I think the older you get, you start to ask yourself the question of, what am I willing to sacrifice, or better yet, who am I willing to become to be super duper great? And to watch that be discussed and negotiated by adults for a 7-year-old kid is really fascinating to look at.
Even the future, though, which when you watch this movie, you're like, oh, even in this movie, the story is set around the 80s. But even then, there's this idea of like, even if this kid does become the next Bobby Fischer, what's left for him? Like at one point they point, and it's just like, chess is not what it was in the 70s still.
Yeah.
How much riches and wealth, like gonna have to do this for the love and you might go insane. And I was like, oh, this is way darker than I remembered it being, of like a 7-year-old. Obviously the 7-year-old is not negotiating this, but his parents being like, damn, should I just put him in Little League? He has a better chance of maybe getting a scholarship versus like, hey, if he goes insane, like there's nothing left for him in this chess world.
And honestly, watching the movie was different now because Bobby came back.
Yeah.
And remember that documentary? Maybe it was a 30 for 30.
But then Bobby hit some Y-Mel.
Bobby
hit a big
went Y-Mel to the 29th power. I remember that one thing. There's this one great clip.
Wild Wikipedia page.
Like ridiculous. Bobby went. Look, there's this one clip to where Bobby had just come back, and I guess he had a real close relationship with Dick Shapp.
Yeah.
Right? And Jeremy Shapp is there. And he's in a back and forth. He's doing a press conference. Wherever he was about to play a chess match. And he had said something to Jeremy Shapp. He was mad at Dick Shapp. And he had said something to Jeremy Shapp. And, Jeremy Shapp looks back up. And you guys bring the clip up. He looks back at me and he goes, a lot of people think that you've completely lost your mind. And honestly, I'm not sure that you've done very much today to make people think any differently. And it's a real moment because by the time Bobby Fischer got back, his mind was shredded. So by the time you watch the movie now and you see that could have potentially been Josh Waitzkin, who's a real person, that could have been his future.
Yeah.
When you chase that type of genius and something that's this mentally rigorous, you go, oh, okay, well, that doesn't happen to everyone. But the guy that
He's probably the worst case scenario.
But the guy that they were searching for, like really kind of lost it all, lost his humanity in a way.
He couldn't even come back to America. Like
Right.
He was mad about this movie that they used his name, and it tied into, he felt like he was about as anti-Semitic as it gets, but he thought there was a Jewish conspiracy against him that Hollywood did the movie because they were trying to make him look bad. And like to say he lost it.
Kanye before Kanye got it.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. I have more on that later.
Oh, by the way, we'll talk about it. This is the anti-Kobe movie. This is the Kobe. No, like every time I watch this, I was thinking, this is not the Mamba mentality, baby.
Oh, Josh doesn't have the Mamba mentality.
Josh,
I was like,
Josh,
he don't got the dog.
Josh, this is a pro LeBron.
You don't remember when Kobe offered him a draw in the 2000 finals?
Right. No, Josh doesn't have the Mamba mentality. Josh wins the Little League game and he looks over at the kids and he's sad that they're sad. I'm like, yo, man, Josh, bro.
Yeah.
Josh,
he's decent.
You got to be a killer.
He's decent, man.
And so that
he's got a heart.
He's got a heart. If you take that away from him, I'm like, man, bro, Josh.
How many ball players? All of them.
Yeah, trying to get Josh into the Mamba mentality. Kobe probably would have hated Josh.
You talked about this already. I had at the very top of this doc, 2 best themes is the price of being truly great at something worth it, and does a parent want his kid to be great for the parent or for the kid? And those are 2 universal themes that you can see. You can go to Pan Pacific Park this weekend, Charles. You just moved here. And you can watch all the AYSO games of the 5-year-olds running around. And there's going to be 2 kids on that field who will be able to play soccer in college. And there's going to be parents on the sidelines as into the game and as excited and tense as you've ever seen. And these kids are 5. And that's how it goes.
This is what I'm afraid of, though.
You can pick hockey. You can pick wrestling. You can pick baseball. Pick a sport. There's going to be the parents on the sidelines locked in. I was one of those parents sometimes. And eventually you have to realize.
Did you ever have the Josh's dad thing where it's like maybe your son or daughter, they quit or they just didn't have the heart that day and you were just like, man,
you have those. I'm not the only one. I think every parent has them. Your kid they're little kids. They go up and down. My daughter, who still plays soccer now in college, but she had a couple moments when she was a kid where I was like, is she going to quit right now? Like, is this like, it was too much pressure. She didn't like it or she wanted to do other things.
And then are you dad, Bill, or are you sports columnist, podcaster?
What you learn is you have to be, I want what's best for my kid parent.
Yeah.
It can't be about you. And what most parents realize that at some point during the journey and then it's good. But what you can't do is have your kid be your proxy for all the things you didn't get to do or you weren't good enough at this or it's so much fun to watch your kid play sports. You'll sacrifice anything for it. That's where it gets dangerous.
Every once in a while, like in sports, actually not every once in a while, a lot of times there's a guy that I look at and I'm like, why is that guy so good? And it's always a combination of like the physical attributes that they have and the way that they play the game. For a long time, one of those guys was Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson would just get buckets, right? And I'd be like, yo, is somebody gonna stop him? Like this little motherfucker is killing y'all. And everybody's gonna, he's tough, he has crazy body control, he shoots it really well. I got a masterclass in why Jalen Brunson is so good last week. This video came out of Jalen Brunson and his dad when he's 13 or some odd years old, and everything that he was being trained on. It wasn't necessarily even what they were doing basketball-wise, the drill itself. He was running down full court, coming back, pulling up. He was crossing left to right, crossing right to left. It was the mentality that his father was instilling in him. His father was, of course, a basketball coach. The mentality was, you're not tired. Keep going. Don't drop your head. Don't jog. Everything at full speed. Everything like you are the best player on the planet.
Right.
With total confidence. And then you see it. The question is, I wonder when I was watching the two things. Number one, the answer about why Jalen Brunson is so good just evaporated out of my head. Then I started to wonder, did they go to Six Flags and stuff? Like you start to wonder what the cost of that is. Now, obviously,
some of it has to come from the kid.
Okay.
Because if the kid doesn't want to do it or doesn't love it, it's never going to work. I always feel I realized this as my daughter got older, watching the whole thing. The kid has to want it. And it has to be stuff like my son loves playing jazz. He's in the advanced jazz band in his high school. He does it on his own. Like, we don't tell him, like, Ben, it's time to play the bass. Like, he likes playing the bass. He does it. He puts the time in. You have to have that, and then you have to have the athletic ability. And then if you have what you just laid out with Rick Brunson, then that's another weapon, right? You were given this opportunity to understand certain things that maybe like Charles wouldn't have understood because he didn't have Rick Brunson as a dad. You know?
Oh, you never heard about Hurricane Holmes?
Hurricane Holmes would have helped you?
No.
Hurricane Holmes, my wrestling career. Woo!
He was Hurricane Holmes. He was the. I had heart.
Is it over yet?
Oh, it's been over. It's been over. My dad was not Josh's dad. Sometimes he'd be like, man, I don't know if you got over this.
Charles, you consider this a father-son movie? Because we talked about all these father-son movies when we did Bronx Tale, and we forgot this movie. This is an absolute father-son movie for me.
Absolutely a father and son movie, but what I thought was hilarious is because it's based on the book that the father wrote, it has something that a lot of other sports movies don't, where it's like, oh, the dad is basically the other protagonist and he comes out looking great.
Yeah, you're right.
Whereas in most sports movies, the parents are just like the mini boss before the big boss, where it's just like, damn, these parents are some assholes. Like, I gotta get over them. Where it's like this movie, by the end, you're like, damn, this is a great father figure, which is like one thing that I'm like, we'll talk about what didn't age well, where I'm like, dad's two in the mix in this.
Yeah, you're right. Well, one thing, it's a father-son movie, but it's also a two-parent movie because the mom has the two most important scenes of the movie.
Yeah.
Right? And in general, just as the moral compass of everything. And she's kind of lingering, even in scenes where she's not saying a lot. But when she tells the dad, like, if you try to change this kid, I'm taking him out.
Yeah.
Like, we're leaving.
That's one of my probably unanswerable questions. We'll get to it about, the future of their marriage. But
I have one as well.
Right. It's a father-son movie and a son-uncle movie and a son-mentor movie.
A two-mentor movie.
Right.
Which I was surprised.
Double mentor.
You got Obi-Wan Kenobi in there, which is your Ben Kingsley character, who is basically teaching him the Force.
Yeah.
The Force is basically chess. And then you got this other uncle figure, Vinnie, Laurence Fishburne's character, who seems to be more in lockstep with the mother. He wants Josh to live freely as well as be dope as chess. When they're playing chess in the park, it's this visceral, electric, really human type of deal. And he wants him to like play into that.
And then they're playing because they love it.
Because they love it. And because they're talking their shit is something that they have to do. The difference between pickup basketball and playing basketball in the NBA, where one is a job and one you're doing voluntarily because it's a part of your lifeblood.
I like how the movie balances both of those things because, ultimately he rediscovers his love for chess because he starts going to the park again. But at the same time, he does need the Ben Kingsley part. And when he has to make the big move in the final match, it's the Ben Kingsley voice is what he hears, right?
Yeah.
It's like, clean the board, sweep it off. What do you see? Move out the pieces. And then he finally figures it out. But the Fishburne is kind of the sexier chess character.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like, bring that fucking queen out, man.
Mm-hmm.
Get going. Move. Let's go.
And, when he recognizes that the guy is like the chess grandmaster and he starts talking shit to him, and the first thing you see him, oh, okay, good. It's like whenever a guy from the NBA or from college comes on the court and somebody just rolls the ball at him, like, what you got, motherfucker?
Right.
And he starts going even harder. Fishburne's great in the 3 scenes that they give him. So like that is just very, very human. Charles, you gonna say that?
So I need to know, and I don't want to poison the well. I love this movie with all of my heart, but this is the first time because I had to watch it and really pay attention where I'm like, okay, I've looked up everybody who's been in this movie and they are all real people. Is Vinnie a real person? Because
he is.
He is?
No, he's
Passed
not.
away 92. He's an amalgam
It's a composite.
He's an amalgam of
That's
three
what I was
different
gonna
people,
ask.
but the name is the same. Yeah.
But were they all black people?
Yes.
Yeah.
They were.
Yeah.
Okay, this makes me feel way better because I was like, look, I was just like,
So it was three park regulars, all black. Vinnie Livermore, who died of AIDS in 92. Poe McClinton, who was like, they described him as a street smart hustler. And then Jerry, who was an old man who had a lot of stories about what it was like back in the day. And they just took all 3 of those 3 and turned them into
this makes me
Fishburne.
feel so much better because
Yeah.
when I was researching, I'm like, if this magical Negro was not real, this is one of the most egregious characters ever.
Sometimes I wonder if here on the Rewatchables, you guys would have the balls to include a magical Negro category.
There's not enough movies that have it. But
Are you
what-
fucking out of
what?
your mind?
Would you want to do you want a Bagger Vance character?
Like,
Category? The
they're-
Legend of Bagger
They're
Vance category?
everywhere. Like Green Book, Bagger Vance,
Green Mile.
Driving Miss Daisy,
Yeah, but
Green Mile.
Under Siege didn't have one. It didn't even have black people in it. We just did that.
Wait.
one.
Were there any black people in Under Siege? Maybe
know who was
one
in
guy.
it?
Who?
Bernie Casey.
Bernie Casey's in Under. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, that magical Negro movie that's coming out pretty soon is going to set the culture on fire. That one's not going to go over guys.
Can I say I had this as the hottest take, but I'll just do it now. My Stephen A. Smith hottest take. I wanted more. I feel like we're 2 Fishburne scenes late. I thought this was the weak link of the movie. Every time he's with Josh, I'm like the most excited about the movie because I just like the connection they had.
He's not in this movie that much. I didn't realize
he's in like 4 scenes.
he looms so large, and I remember their relationship more than I remember the Kingsley relationship. But he's not. He shows up, 3 times?
It feels like they cut a scene out because it goes for like, oh, we bring, and all of a sudden they're playing at the park like they've been playing for a while, but it feels like we're missing them filling each other out scene. Whereas Kingsley, there's like, 5 scenes where they're filling each other out. I don't know. I just like the Fishburne character.
Kingsley gets his own arc. Like
Fishburne doesn't. All of a sudden he's in
Fishburne doesn't get
Chicago.
his own arc.
He's just in Chicago with them for no reason.
Yeah.
Let's bring the guys from the park.
Kingsley gets his own arc. The dad gets his own arc. The mom really doesn't.
No, she does because she fought for the kid in a real way.
She did fight for the kid, but at the same time,
she's wearing the pants in the family. She kind of lays it down.
She made the goddamn pants.
Yeah.
Like Joey Zaza is.
Yeah. Joey Zaza.
like Joey Zaza got his shit off one time in the best scene in the movie and one of the best scenes of the 90s, if you ask me.
Yeah.
And maybe I know he's good, but maybe the best scene of his career.
It's in this movie.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We'll get to it in rewatchable scenes,
Yeah.
but maybe the best scene of
Are
his
we all going to take cracks at doing the dialogue from it? I'm going to save it.
right.
We can go around in a circle.
But like and because of that, there was literally a point where they were sitting on the before the young Darth Vader kid comes, when they were sitting on the park bench eating at McDonald's, to where I was like, damn, well, I haven't seen him in a while. Like when he popped up in the movie, I was like, oh shit. Like he's still in this bitch. I really have forgotten he had been in it because he really only comes in the movie a couple of times.
He's basically in another movie that I'm kind of part of me is more interested in. What's going on in the park?
Mm-hmm.
Just the dynamics of it. Who plays? Who's the best guy? What happens when different people come in? Because in Boston, we had in Cambridge and Harvard Square, we had the same situation. And the first piece I ever wrote that got published that I got paid for, $600.
There you go.
From Yankee Magazine. I think it might have even been more than that. But I wrote a piece about this guy who played chess for money. And you had to play him, and it was like $2. This was a year before the movie came out. But they had all these characters in the same way. And every time I walked by, I was always fascinated by it. And that just, it feels like that whole park scene could have been another movie, like an indie movie that had no stars. But Fishburne, I don't know. What do we think his job was? Chess? What do we think?
So
what did he do every day?
I'm fascinated because one of the first scenes that you see is like they're trading, like there's like baggies of drugs or whatever back and forth. And the dad in one of the most racist scenes when he's like, Vinnie, that druggie or whatever.
Right.
And I'm like, to your point, was something cut out of the movie? Because I was like, Fishburne is not acting like a drug addict. Is this just racism? Like, what is his story? Why is he always at the
going
park?
on in the park?
Yeah, I think it's more like his feelings about the park in general.
Yeah.
No, and I understood that, but I was like, what is his arc and what is his narrative? Like, what is his life like? Because even at the park, he seems to be almost not the mayor, but definitely the one that's scoping out all the guys, knows all the plays, and then can see emotionally something in Josh that nobody else really can see.
Right.
And I just needed one more scene of him bringing that to life.
Yeah, I needed to.
All of these people are basically shards of who Josh Waitzkin would eventually become. Like Vinnie is his humanity. His parents are his protectors, but they're also like unsure. They don't know what they want him to be. And he was unsure.
Dad wants him to be great. Mom wants him to have a heart.
Dad wants to be
like tug of war.
So he's going back and forth between those two things. And then the Ben Kingsley character represents the institution of chess, like what you have to do if you want to be good at chess.
I remember every game Bobby Fischer ever played.
Right. You know what I mean?
Trying to do Ben Kingsley.
And even him, though, he's been burnt by the structure and the grind and all of it. So although he recognizes, and he's kind of a con man too with the goddamn fake certificates, although he recognizes that there is a sacrifice, he doesn't want it to take too much of a toll. So everybody is asking all of these questions, and Josh is eating it all up.
I mean, one of the best scenes going off that point is he's telling Josh, blitz chess, speed chess, it's going to ruin you. It's going to ruin you. And it almost seems like he's talking about chess like it's an addiction. And the minute you see him like on the street, like Bruce playing chess,
again? Yeah,
it's
like, I'm using it again.
I'm like, oh, you're talking, because that's other one of like the interesting little things that they keep pointing to is I'm like, oh, you burnt out on chess. You're talking about yourself.
I mean, the professor basically tells us that, right?
Yeah, and it's not until like it didn't snap into my mind. I was like, oh, was speed chess the thing that is like was actually your one true love, and you just kind of got burnt out on it,
or somebody broke you.
Yeah.
I remember every game he ever played.
It's not bad.
This movie has so many of either those people or people I like, including, we mentioned Ben Kingsley. We mentioned Fishburne, who we're going to talk about more later. Joe Mantegna, who was Godfather 3, Homicide, and Bobby Fischer, right in all the middle here. Joan Allen's first big movie, and then she goes on to be in a bunch of good ones, including Face Off, which we'll probably do at some point again on the Rewatchables, even though we've already done it. But
she's got a thing.
Well, she definitely knew that her husband's body had changed, and I think she liked the new body.
Yeah,
that was where we landed on the podcast.
There's a thing with her though. Like, I've always had a thing. She's got a
for
thing.
Joan Allen?
For Joan Allen, bro. Like, there's some kind of thing. No,
like I'm 100% with you.
it is especially in Face Off. I feel
She's
like
kind of that prim and proper, but deep down there's more lurking.
Speaking
but
about
she's
things,
smart.
I just have to, because I'm on the Rewatchables, I have to say, CR, you're fucking wrong. Like, I was listening to a recent Rewatchables and I almost wanted to punch.
Which one?
Fran Drescher is so hot.
Oh, thanks.
She's like all time white woman.
I didn't hear this, but
Saturday Night Fever, we did. This was like a year plus ago, and then we did a Fran Drescher callback, and I brought up how I always thought Fran Drescher was like secretly one of the best looking women in the last 50 years.
CR, I love you. It's part of her thing.
Yeah,
it's
She's
literally
smoking hot still right now.
It's literally part of her thing. Like when they would talk about what was the show she was on with? What's
the nanny?
The nanny. It was like, oh, the face and the body. Like it was part of her thing.
Yeah, Sierra just didn't see it.
Sorry to derail this.
Joan Allen, Ben Kingsley. We get the William H. Macy, David Paymer, Dan Hedaya are all in this. All of those guys.
Nuts. I got it.
And then Laura Linney just as one scene as a teacher.
I didn't even recognize her because I'm just like, it took me a moment. I'm like, Shotty from Ozark is the teacher in this. I never, I was like, oh shit, that's Laura Linney. And to your point, Tuna Fish Dad. I
Right.
was like, bro,
Right.
is this one of his first big roles?
Austin Pendleton,
Right.
In it, I mean,
Tony Shalhoub.
Tony Shalhoub is like this movie is almost like that guy training camp.
Yep.
Or somebody who's going to have a bigger career 5 years later. Like Laura Linney's in 2 movies this year. This one, and she's screws the president in the beginning of Dave.
And then
he has the stroke on top of her.
And then a couple of years later, Truman Show.
Yep.
And then boom.
And Primal Fear.
And Primal Fear. Primal Fear, yeah.
Also written by Steve Zalian, who ended up winning who won Best Adapted Screenplay for Schindler's List the same year. So big year for Steve. But he's one of the best screenwriters of the last 35 years.
Nah, he's fantastic.
And this one is a great script, like over everything else. Like sometimes it's like when you do the research, it's like somebody wrote it and then it got revised and then this person came in and they fixed this. And he's one of those where he writes the script and they make it. And there's characters and there's arcs and distinct
a mishmash
parts.
of things that shouldn't work. Narration, stock footage.
The first narration ages really, because like you go back to a lot of 90s, 80s when you're like,
well, the kid's got a great voice
does.
He's got that like little tiny lisp. He's like
Shogun's
7, 8 years
Assassin,
old.
Liquid Swords. Like it gave me that. I was like pumped the minute I hear the little kid telling the story. Aged wonderfully.
So Ben Kingsley won an Oscar, 5 other Oscar nominees, including Fishburne, who got nominated this same year for What's Love Got to Do with It. So big year for him.
Oh, he was cooking at this point.
I feel so. My take on his character in this is I don't think they realized he was going to be in the movie, and I don't think the part was that big of a part.
No,
and I think because he was in it, I think they threw in like 2-3 extra scenes with him.
Oh wait, so you're saying that they were You feel like they had this in a can? Because sometimes that happens where you drop a movie with somebody and then something else blows up and then you're like,
no,
oh,
I'm
shit.
saying when they were making the movie, I don't think this was a big part, but I think he might have liked the script and just wanted to be in it. So maybe,
and so they
maybe the
gave him
part's
a little bit more
fatter than it would have been.
He's like, I want a part where I scream something, and they go, okay, cool. There it is.
There it is.
Yeah, right. That's one of the most memorable parts.
Nominated for Best Cinematography Oscar. $12 million budget. It made $7.3 million.
How did y'all let this happen?
So, as we've discussed many times with the Rewatchables, 93 was a ridiculously loaded movie year, and it came out during the summer, and there was a million things, and it just got lost. And it's the kind of movie, if it was a different weekend, different year, I think it would have done better. But I think it wins ultimately because it's been on for 30 years. And I actually think it's a little bit timeless. It reminds me a little Big. Even though it's 30, Craig, did you feel like this movie could have come out now in a lot of ways?
I don't think chess matters now, so no.
Oh, interesting.
Whoa,
Jesus.
What is?
I think there's been a resurgence of chess.
I don't think.
Queen's
How old
Gambit?
are you, Charles?
31.
Yeah, I don't feel like chess is as a big of a deal in our generation. I'm 29. In our generation as
I
it was
disagree
in the
so
90s.
much. I disagree.
There's no famous chess people. Nobody cares about Bobby Fischer my age.
You know,
That's fair.
I'll be honest. I'll say something. And I keep reiterating this. There should be something where we talk about like what from the movie is culturally expired, because this is a chess, because Fresh comes out.
What was the name of that category? I'm gonna add that for 24.
It's kind of what aged the best a little bit.
No, it's different
kinda what
though.
takes the worst,
It's
but
kinda what aged the worst
culturally
a
what
little
has
bit.
died.
But like what's like chess is at this point, there's like a little
No, we should call it
resurgence.
like cultural funeral.
Yeah, like this is the last time this thing fucking mattered, right? And in this movie, what I would say is this and Fresh, because Fresh is all about chess. They're playing speed chess. They're doing the whole thing. We were playing chess at lunch during this time. These movies were so big. The Bobby Fischer thing still was a big deal. Chess was gone for a long time, I feel like, until Queen's Gambit.
Yeah.
And then there was an African chess movie that came out a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
That was pretty big too. So it was gone until
My friend
then.
Tendo did that.
Yeah, over at Netflix, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
think Queen's Gambit is just more of a really good prestige TV show. I don't know if it hit because of chess. I think it was just a really good show.
but I think it got people interested.
And it was
in
COVID.
chess. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was
If
COVID.
that came out this week, I'm not sure it hits.
Hot take, really quick. I think chess is more fun to watch film than even like basketball. Like
Wow.
in the movies, I think
this is what we didn't want to happen.
What? I'm so serious,
you know what I'm saying?
bro.
Like
I'm so serious.
This is
This is the danger of inviting Charles to
like-
Rewatchables.
anybody who listens to our other podcasts,
Yeah.
like this was the worst case scenario. this is what we didn't want.
Oh, I have so many. But like,
okay.
here's the thing.
I'm gonna stop talking.
I
Get your
think
shit off.
I think it's even harder for an actor to look good playing chess than it is for an actor to look good playing basketball.
I mean, that's
Because here's the thing.
What's
Here's
the
the thing. I don't know anything
fine,
about
Toby,
chess, but literally, it's just like even this kid. This kid has to do these moves where he's like very like, okay, sure, yeah, and he's like really thinking.
Well, you guys do that. He does the lean.
the lean is
He had
clutch.
a couple good leans and a couple good
That-
stares.
that's hard for any actor, and this kid is like what 7 or 8, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, even in Queen's Gambit, think about it. All you are doing as an actor is like you just got to think really hard or squint your eyes, and I don't know anything about chess, so the only way I know it's a good move is if like fucking Vinnie is yelling like, "Yo, he did it!"
This is my one retort to that.
It is true.
This is my one retort to that. When there's bad actor basketball being played, there is almost nothing more grotesque.
Yeah. But it's
When
almost
when-
always bad. So
it's not always bad.
it glaze over.
But when there's an actor who can't dribble the ball, or like an All-American, great show. I'm not dissing. So shout out Spencer. Shout out everybody. Shout out
It's like,
Tate.
it's so annoying when you have to do your qualifiers before you criticize something.
But what I'm saying is, when you watch the football being played, when you get sports that are that physically intensive wrong, it looks so fucking bad, bruh. And
Then
chess
what's
is
the
like,
last good basketball movie where the basketball looked actually
Winning Time. Looks
Yeah.
good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Not wait, Ben Kingsley. I just watched it recently. The Wesley stuff made me mad all over again.
Yeah. Wes is doing this thing. Wes is hamming it up. Boom, boom. Wesley's traveling. Wesley,
It's really tough.
They got Wesley
Because
dunking on the
Woody's so
7-foot
good.
rim.
Woody was so good. He's like, I'm going to make semi-pro. I just want to play basketball, get in a
Wesley
movie.
is such a great athlete.
So good.
He's such a great athlete that it kind of gets away with it, but he's really doing this. He's going for his shit on this.
You can tell what actors are great athletes. Like even we just did Under Siege. Tommy Lee Jones does some physical stuff in that movie. We're like, man, that guy definitely must have
Tommy
played
Lee
sport.
Jones,
Yeah, I
really?
think he played sports and
Well, I don't
did he
know.
play football at Harvard?
I don't know.
I think he was the center at Harvard.
The center?
Yeah, I think he was like the center at Harvard.
Can you imagine Tommy Lee Jones lining up on the other side of Aaron fucking Donald,
Right.
getting his goddamn guts rearranged?
Yeah.
The center.
Whoa!
That must be a different goddamn.
Oh, it's Harvard.
Yeah. College football center. I thought
Yeah.
you were saying center basketball. Center football.
There you go.
Semi-pro, not terrible basketball in semi-pro.
No,
bad.
it's good. It was too close to Anchorman.
All right.
I think they needed 5 years. Our guy Roger Ebert reviewed this movie. 4 stars.
Of course.
A film of remarkable sensitivity and insight. The film is the first intelligent one I can remember seeing about chess. And then he says, by the end of Searching Bobby Fischer, we have learned something about tournament chess and a great deal about human nature. If we can operate at the genius level in a given field, does that mean we must? Even if the cost is the sort of endless purgatory of Bobby Fischer is inhibited, it's an interesting question the movie does not avoid it.
Nailed
It's a
it.
good take.
Jesus Christ. Wesley Morris level criticism right there.
It's actually, I got to say, I would encourage people to go read it. It's, I think, the best Raj review I've read of all these movies. It's really well written. It was like it actually reminded me of Wesley. I'm glad you brought that up, but it's just really, it's well thought out. It's a little bigger picture. And then the endless purgatory of Bobby Fischer is inhabited. It got worse. And Bobby got worse. It's added a weird tint to this movie because he's not a great guy. I mean, he's dead now, but he had not a great run. All right, most rewatchable scene. I mean, this movie gets better as it goes along, but we do have, I like when Josh doesn't want to beat his dad.
Mm-hmm.
And then his dad's like, come on, beat me. And he throws the phone books off. Great moment. I like when he beats Tony Shalhoub and he feels bad and gives him the candy. Good scene.
Great. Tony Shalhoub.
One
steals this movie.
scener.
Yeah, one scener.
When he holds up the
Can I
2
have one more?
fingers.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
First big tournament when all the parents get kicked out. And the
a
kids
fucking great
clap.
scene. Yeah.
Oh,
'Cause
my
the-
question is how, I was like, I'm a grown ass adult. you're not locking me in a cage for hours.
You would if it meant that you're. That's why that scene is so
Yeah,
telling
that scene was actually
to the
realistic.
character. But you would if it meant your kid getting disqualified from the tournament.
Yeah.
If it meant your kid didn't get to play in the tournament, which is really more important to you than it is to the kid, you probably do whatever the tournament director said.
That was a childless thing to say.
Yeah.
I got you.
We had the messenger system. I like the kids running back and forth. That's just a really good scene. Then the kid walks back and then he's like, it's over.
Who
You're
won?
like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Get a little William H. Macy in there versus Mantegna. Next one, the Laura Linney scene. I'm sure he's very good at this chess thing.
That's easily the winner, right?
You want to know how good he is? I'll tell you how good he is. He's better at this than I've ever been at anything in my life. He's better at this than you'll ever be at anything. My son is a gift.
Really quick with that scene, the one thing that like bothered me, I was like, dog, she's going in on this family and the whole like class is still there. Like if I'm a little kid, I'm like, damn, like fucking Josh's family, they ain't shit. He didn't get to go to the like fucking Lincoln Memorial.
It's a slight nitpick. No teacher would ever do it at one of those functions.
They would do it though.
But they would do it in private.
But in front of the whole class?
Not in front of 40 people.
They get in your business. Yo, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. Hey, man, I remember just people, my mama being like, hey, is he doing good in school? Good. Well, stop goddamn worrying about
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but she grates on him and picks at him and prods and pokes at him.
He never mentioned the White House when he was in D.C.
Which, by the way, I'm not saying that she's necessarily wrong. I'm just saying
it's called a parent-teacher conference. That's when you bring this shit up.
And
the pinochle jab was a little much.
Her emotional IQ is so low, and they're already under such strain. When he pops off at her, it feels completely warranted. She's clearly the villain.
Completely
of the scene.
warranted? He looks insane, even though she was like,
no, I feel like by the time
I think everybody loses that scene.
Yeah, I think by the time he lets her have it, it's like, yo, man, we trying to build something over here.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? What you all
now
right
that
now?
the wife is in the corner, be like, yo, could we handle this outside, please?
I think by the end of it, I think the wife was looking around at first, but at the end of it, she was kind of like, all right, motherfucker. And then they walked out together. And she was like, all right. At the end of it, she was like, told your motherfucking ass. And then they left. By the way, he's been great in a lot of things. By the way, he's great in The Godfather 3. I know you guys have this tenuous relationship with The Godfather 3.
We did a Rewatchables. We like The Godfather 3. It's just it's missing a couple pieces.
Some stuff. But
it's worth it overall.
In that movie, he's very intense. He's very sinister, as Joey says. That might be, that scene right there, the single most powerful piece of acting that I've seen him do.
It's great.
It's like, I mean, I'm serious. Like, he is focused. He's right there. He looks like he's beside himself. At the same time, he's completely emoting. It's a really great piece of acting right there.
I think that scene in 2023 is probably a little different. The teacher probably files a complaint immediately.
Oh no! The whole fucking school is taping him.
There's
crazy.
Somebody's taping him in the corner.
Yeah.
It's a little different. Josh loses. Josh basically tanks the game in 7 moves because the villain kid's in his head, who we haven't talked about yet. Mm-hmm. And then they're in the rain.
Oh man.
Dude, I've been in moments like that with your kid where you don't know how hard to push, but you know you have to do something because something's wrong. I mean, that's like the most exaggerated version of this. But when Josh says, "Why are you standing so far away from me?" It's fucking great. It's such a good line.
In the gut
and
every
the dad's
time.
like, "Yeah, why am I staying? This is my son." He's like, "Come over here." It's like the kid just wants a fucking hug. He's a mess.
So, bro, like that part, right? Zalian is a beast, bro.
Yeah.
Like that part where he delivers that, it's completely vulnerable. And as the audience watching the scene, it resolves the scene. Very, very, very rarely is there a line that completely resolves the scene. Because as he's doing that, a part of me is like, yo, why you being a little bitch?
Right.
Like go out there and do the thing. And you realize that he's putting distance between him and his son. His son calls it out. And then you're like, no, it's about more than chess. It completely resolves the scene.
I will also say, child actors, it's very hard. I think the kid who plays Josh Max, he has this thing about him where if you've ever met a child who's like a prodigy or just very smart, there's almost kind of this sadness to them.
Yeah.
Where they're just like, too ahead of the people, like the kids around them, and they understand too much. And this child actor has a great job of him, like, he's not plucky, he's not annoying, and there's a little bit of like, he's playing the burden of being a chess prodigy so well that when it finally breaks him, it sells me in a way most of these types of movie with these kids characters just do not.
I had this later, but we can do it now. So his name's Max Pomeranc. I think it's one of the better child actor performances I can remember.
Yes.
Because if he's not good,
The movie doesn't work.
the movie doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because he's got to have this, you got to be able to just watch his face and kind of guess what he's thinking half the time. Because he doesn't have a lot of lines.
No.
There's a curiosity to him, but he's empathetic. But he's also got to go against these big ass actors who are these real actors, and he holds his own with all of them. And then by the end of it, you're really rooting for him. Like, you feel like you have a handle on this dude by the end. It's a really good performance.
Oh, when Ben Kingsley does the shit with the
that's what I have for the next scene.
with the certificates,
Yeah.
I was like, a lesser child actor would have gotten swallowed alive. And he's in the scene, and I'm
Maybe you want another one. Maybe you want another one. Here's another.
Get out of my house.
How does that go in a black family's house, Van?
First of all, you mean talking about with him talking to the kid like that?
With him dropping 20 certificates on the table.
It doesn't get that far. A voice comes from the kitchen. Nah. That's too much. Terry, to go in there, he thought that's a little bit too much now. Somebody come in this motherfucker. All right now.
I mean, if it was a black child, it'd never get that far, because I was like, okay, he's a chess prodigy, but the sticker books and the fucking fake points are where he's just like, oh, word. I'm like, dog, this is what got you. I was a little bit like, how smart is this kid really?
But I mean, he's
7 years old.
But like every other time, he's like this genius level, and the minute he brings out
Right,
stickers,
true.
he's
Yeah.
like, oh, word, there's
points,
stickers, points.
Get Out of My House is great. That leads to the big parent fight. This whole stretch is awesome. So we have the certificates where it's also a, really, Bruce? Really? The
Oh, I
kid's
hate him.
7. You motherfucker.
Talking about when the certificate situation, how he's
Yeah.
them, yeah.
Oh, I've got plenty of these. Like, he's just shattering the kid. It's like, you motherfucker.
Well,
Why are you doing
There's
this?
something broken in Bruce.
Yeah. I think he actually, that's when you start to wonder, is he like actually trying to destroy this kid a little bit?
Yeah, there's something broken in Bruce. Bruce's trauma. And look, that's another thing that the movie does really well. The movie does a really great job of putting all of these characters who you're not as invested into as much as you are Josh, putting their trauma and whatever's going on with them on Front Street. The dad is a sports writer.
Yeah.
And early in the movie, somebody asks Josh a question, and I thought it was just a great little nugget. They go, are you going to write about sports like your dad, or are you going to play? Now, Josh says, I'm going to play. That question is essentially asking him, are you going to observe greatness and like make that, or are you going to go be great? And Josh goes, I'm going to play second best for the Yankees. You know what I mean? And so like when you look at that, that's like a big deal. The dad is dealing with the fact that he's been around so much of this, but it's not really for him. And he recognizes his son. Bruce had it, but it washed out. So
Yeah.
it all bubbles up at different times in the movie. The script really does give everybody their time to shine.
Van, I'm going to give you 10 points for that point.
Thank you.
I'm going to write that down.
You
You're
should
10
have-
points closer
You should have
to being a master of the
a
rewatchables.
Rewatchables masterclass certificate.
Oh
10
man,
points.
if you can't.
Can you imagine if you were doing, and I was just like writing in a notebook?
Would you?
putting
I would
stickers?
say you can't tell anybody, but is there a Rewatchables episode where you would get somebody a certificate? Like at the end of this movie, you just bring it out like Bruce and be like, "Yo,
Because
Ryan in the
because of
town.
their performance?
yes, you're a
Ryan-
grandmaster."
Ryan
of
in the
Rewatchables.
town.
Ryan in the town.
Because when he starts talking about the history of Boston in the 1770s, he just goes to another level. It's just the podcast stopped and he gave a 5-minute lecture on how Boston people were nuts in the 1770s. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Mhm.
So with the big parent fight, how many ball players grow up afraid of losing their father's love?
All of them.
He's not weak. He's decent. By the way, she says he knows you disapprove of him. He knows you think he's weak.
That's my nitpick.
I don't know if I 100% agree with,
That's my
because he's definitely not weak. He's winning chess tournaments. It's not like he's some
No, but she
schmuck.
says, doesn't she say Josh thinks that his dad is disapproving of him because he doesn't have that Mamba mentality, that killer instinct.
Yeah.
Which I think is like,
But I think weak's the wrong word. I would have said like you're too empathetic or something like that, right?
I don't feel like they sold that in this movie. They seem like they have a very functional father and son relationship. He doesn't necessarily push Josh or challenge him to step outside of himself. I don't know on a rewatch. I don't know if they sold that he in some way is just chronically disappointed in who his son is. So when she said that, that's like when I realized that she's probably out the door. She's talking to different divorce attorneys. She's out of here. Because I don't feel like that got across to me. Am I wrong? Like I don't feel like it got across to me that like he thinks his son is weak and he is not fucking with him like that.
I did get the sense that I think they want you to do a jump that I think they need another couple scenes to accomplish where Josh is in the slump. He's being dragged to all these tournaments. His trophies aren't even in his room. They are like, so his dad is basically like, and something that I read is that in the real version of this, the dad had tried to play chess. Like he had seen Bobby Fischer.
The guy wrote the book, yeah.
And he just didn't have it. So when his son had it, it was like, oh my God, this is the best thing. So I think the movie is trying to get you to make a mental jump of like, oh.
But do you understand how even that right there totally fucking changes that?
Yeah.
Because that piece of information right there makes that a little bit more accessible, but they didn't do that in the movie.
No, I agree with that.
I don't think they were expecting people to watch it 38 times. Josh's dad tells him he can quit is the third part of this kind of long scene. He says, it's just a game. And the kid's like, no, it isn't.
Yeah, gotta kill.
That's when you know, like,
the mama's there.
Like I have to win.
Yeah. White mamba.
Then we get another great, this is the best stretch of the movie. Josh's dad putting all the trophies back, brings him to see Fishburne. And Fishburne just cooks for like 2 minutes.
Man. Don't
like
look
used to, from the gut. You're playing not to lose, Josh. You got to risk losing. You got to risk everything. He's just like fucking flying advice left and right.
So is the movie trying to tell us that actually the speed chess is the more artful form in terms of like, that's where Josh gets his second wind and like falls back in love with the game? And are they basically being like, is that the only place that Josh can be like, this isn't about winning or losing? Vinnie doesn't even, like, Josh beats Vinnie, and he doesn't even care.
It's the purer form.
Yeah.
It's all emotion, all inspiration. It's everything that gets taken away from you when you go sit down in that formal setting. And the argument is, I don't know as much about chess as I need to. The argument is, how much of that do you need to be to actually go and win? And I feel like Josh won because he had a little bit of that. And the other kid,
well, you're leaving out one thing.
What up?
Because I think the speed chess, the reason it works and brings him back is he's not overthinking anymore.
Overthinking, yeah.
That Bruce comes in and Bruce has him just contemplating every part of every single decision you make. And then he starts playing it safer and safer. And Fishburne's side is the side of, you got to let it fly, man.
Right.
Like you got to go. It's like I'm going to bring this up just because we taped it. We're taping a day after the Celtics blew yet another close game. The Celtics play nice and free. They play Fishburne speed chess. And then at the end of these games, they slow down and more methodical, and they play the Bruce Ben Kingsley style. And that's when you get Jason Tatum firing 27-footers with a hand in his face.
Is there
1 second left in the shot clock.
A chess equivalent of knowing that the best player on the court has 5 fouls and not
Steph Curry was the villain kid. He's that kid. He's just sitting there like this with like that.
Put him in the PNR and just hunting him to get that fifth
Can
foul.
we just say, while we're talking about the villain kid, this is the thing I hate about sports movies. I get it's the movies, but hey, the winners write the tale. The kid's story was like they used a different name, is more fucked up. Like he's a chess prodigy, and I think he ultimately ended up being probably more naturally gifted than Josh. But just hearing the story, like I think there was a Vanity Fair article written about his family. There might have potentially been abuse. Like he quit chess. Now he's like a poker genius. And I'm like, if I was that prodigy, I would watch this movie and be like, fuck that shit. Not only was I better than him, I was 2 years younger than him. And like even the draw that they have at the end was real. But it was like they both shared the championship. It wasn't like, oh, Josh is going off in the sunset. And I was like, if I was that chess prodigy, I would be like, fuck searching for Bobby
His name
Fischer.
was Jeff Sawar.
A couple of people were mad at how they were portrayed in the movie.
Yeah.
The super flaky chess guy from the remember that's whoever He wins about $2,000 a year playing chess. He's played by I forgot the guy's name.
I don't think Bruce was happy either.
Yeah, it's a couple of different people from the movie were upset about the way they were portraying the
Yeah,
movie.
I heard Bruce was not this like maniacal,
No.
evil man. Like people were saying, like, no, he was pretty chill. Like,
But that's what happens with so many of these movies when it's based on a true story.
Yeah.
And then it's like, somebody could base a movie about this podcast right now. And then once it's like, all right, 3 people named Bill, Charles, and Van, and then they can do whatever the fuck
Whatever
they want.
Yeah.
That's what Van does when he makes movies. Next one is, I also had the Kid Cudi Pursuit of Happiness Award for Best Needle Drop for Fishburne as he's getting Josh's thing back. The music kicks in big. Like we really get, it's going nuts. A quickie one, Bruce goes to see Josh's dad when he says, I do know he likes playing again, but and Bruce says, you have no idea what a fall like this can do to him. And he's like,
Yeah, that's it.
I think I can actually.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oof.
Yeah.
Tough scene for Bruce.
Mm-hmm.
I really, while we're on the topic of the dad, I have to ask this. This might belong in what's aged the worst. Could you, as a sports writer in the 1980s, afford to live around Washington Square and support a 4-person family?
That's your nitpick.
That's so early 90s? I think yes.
No, this would be the 80s probably. When
Yeah,
this was. When this,
I think 20th century, yes.
damn, it was really like that out there.
Yeah.
How much you think Josh's dad was like bringing home? Because like that's a nice apartment. Like that's a spacious. What are we talking about?
But you know what? To this
I don't
point,
know. It's a good nitpick.
that this movie is one of we always talk about what our favorite New York movies are and stuff. This movie is one of my favorite New York movies.
It does New York really well. Like it has that claustrophobic feeling.
Yeah.
Like when they go into the chess, the place where like Bruce's like the chess club, it has that feeling of old New York buildings. You can smell it and you're like, when Josh goes in there, you're like, oh, he loves chess so much because this place doesn't scare him. Like this is home to him.
Right.
When he sees the pieces, this is to your point, they do New York so fucking.
It's a little like Rounders when they go into these different buildings in Rounders and it just feels lived in.
And you're like, this could only happen in this place.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
2 more scenes. Bruce goes to see Josh before the big match. Gives him the big gift. It's in the frame. Gets a little dusty.
When Josh hugs
Paul
Bruce,
really kicks up.
woo! That's
And it's a
real
cool
cinema.
frame too. The poema looks good, and he's like, "I've never been so proud of anyone in my life. I'm honored to call yourself my teacher." It's like, oh man, and Bruce finally got there. This is great, guys.
Have you shown your kids this movie? Have they like rocked with it?
So, I tried to get Ben to watch last night, and I was like, he's like, "What's it about?" And I said, "It's about a little kid who's really good at chess." He's like, "Fuck no, I'm not watching that."
like-
He dropped the
that's-
F-bomb at me.
Not a Ben movie.
Yeah, not a
My
Ben
little
movie.
nephew. He don't. Ben is.
That's what I want to ask. Is this because this movie? I love the momentum of it and the rhythm of it, but I'm like, this is a 1990s child movie momentum. I don't.
You know what though? If Netflix had this, I could see this being like #1 trending movie on Netflix for like a week. Because I don't think a lot of people know about it.
It flies by. It's very watchable. There's so many familiar faces in it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's so many familiar faces in it.
They would definitely put Fishburne in the little square.
Put him in there. Like, what is Larry in?
Say,
Put him in there.
search for Bobby
Fishburne,
Fischer with a
Mantegna,
square.
the whole deal. William H.
They
Macy
put the
probably would
Ozark. Can you imagine if you watch an Ozark? It's like, you know what you should watch next?
Right.
Fucking searching for Bobby Fischer.
Mm-hmm.
Then the big match is phenomenal. I like when the evil kid doesn't go right away. He's trying to psych him out. I love all of Fishburne's parts of this are great. He's just yelling at the TV. Josh can't even hear him. I like how he loses his queen, then gets the other one. Then kid finally makes a mistake, clear the table, take the draw. It's just an elite 6 minutes.
I love thematically the whole thing with the queen. Like I love when the scripts do the thing where I'm just like, they keep saying the whole time.
Don't bring him out.
Don't bring him out. Don't bring him out.
Don't do it.
And then when he does it, I'm like, yo, this is cinema, baby.
It's who he is.
Yeah.
It's who he is. He wins the match by being who he is.
Yep.
Every part of him that people have tried to coach out of him, bringing the queen out, offers the draw, even the speed chess thing. it's all in there. He wins by being who he authentically is. And like he wins not just the chess match, but he also kind of his character wins the movie. Not to jump ahead of myself.
In the real match, so they made up that actual winning position that he saw 12 moves ahead, but in October 95 of the issue of Chess Life, which I don't know if you guys
Chess Life magazine.
If you guys had that issue.
I never had it.
Grandmaster Larry Evans said that the position
Grandmaster?
Yeah. He said
Okay,
the
now.
position that Josh had in the
Be
movie
careful.
was actually unsound. And that Jonathan actually could have won the game.
The Neil deGrasse Tyson. Every time a movie drops, Neil deGrasse Tyson goes, "That's not possible." Love you, Neil.
I did watch it pretty closely this last time, and I was like, why didn't he just chase him down with the king? The
You
evil
don't know
kid.
what you talking about.
Do you want to hear my chess story?
Please. Like, what did you...
So I'm 6 years old, living in Brookline, Massachusetts.
Okay.
And my dad, who had always had like weird 70s friends, he had this
Right.
friend that loved chess and taught chess. And one day he played chess with me, and I could just, I was always good at chess.
Bill,
And-
it sounds like horse shit.
No, no.
What were you rated?
This is a great story. You guys are going to enjoy this.
Okay.
This guy came over and played chess with me for an hour twice a week for like a month and a half. And every time he beat me, and I would get mad, but he was like, "You're getting better,
Okay.
you're getting better." So then I overheard him tell my mom, "No, it's going great. I didn't win for my first 200 times." And I heard that, and I was like, "I'm never playing with that guy again." That was it for my chess career. That's my mom's story. She still tells it.
You didn't have to stick it out. You didn't want
I was like, I have to lose 200 times just to win my first. I'm out. That was it.
Really?
Yeah, that was it. Never really
you
played
could have
chess
had
again.
a completely different
I
life.
could have been a completely tortured chess person.
It's so
I don't
funny.
know if my brain would have totally worked like that, but it did definitely worked a little.
The reason why I was so fascinated with this movie at first is because it makes chess seem like the piano or certain.
Yeah,
you
because
know
I
what
think it is in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of, like when Bruce says at one point, "I remember every game Bobby Fischer ever played." Like, he's serious.
Yeah.
He really did study like every game Bobby Fischer, the same you would study like compositions.
I mean, but even the speed chess, what I think this movie does really well is there's a rhythm to it.
Yeah.
So once they start doing it, like when Josh goes back to Vinnie, not only is the music swelling, but they're hitting the timer, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, it has the sports movie thing. I'm like, it makes me feel like Rocky, where I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, he got his mojo back, which when you think about it is a hard thing to do in a chess movie, because how do you prove that a chess prodigy got their mojo back? Like, oh, that was a really good move. No, they figure out the
Yeah, you're right.
the sound and the visuals. And I was like, that is
You know when he got it
filmmaking.
back in the big scene, when he tells Villain Kid trick or treat, it's like, oh, Josh is back,
When
man.
he got his queen.
He's throwing daggers now.
Right.
What's your most rewatchable scene, Van?
It is the scene with the teacher, for sure.
My son has a gift.
My son is a gift. It's-
I have that as well, Charles.
Ooh, man, I think it has to be Josh reuniting with Vinnie. It gets me every single time.
I do love that part
it's cool.
too.
Yeah.
What's aged the best? We mentioned the opening credits with
Mhm.
Josh's story is really good. Then Bobby Fischer made the most original and unexpected move of all. He disappeared. It's really good. It's
Yeah.
as people know, I'm not a huge narration guy, but it's really good. Chess parent tournament culture is aged the best because I still think it's pretty grim.
Oh,
This is not a movie you watch and you're like, I want to get my kids into chess.
I used to work at a charter school, and they had like,
Oh, the
instead-
tournaments?
they would have the tournaments, and then they would have like kids being in the chess club. And it was weird to see, I grew up and it's like, all right, there is a hierarchy, the basketball players are here, the football players are here. To see the hierarchy in a charter school of like, oh no, the chess motherfuckers are those. Like, they're
Yeah.
the people that the adults are like, oh, he's going to college, he's getting a scholarship. And I'm like, damn, I wouldn't have been one of these motherfuckers. So that is aged well.
The pressure Josh feels once he becomes number one, I think is really good. I think that's a real theme for this movie that spreads to all other sports or basically anything. Really, you're climbing, you get there. And then it's like, oh, this isn't fun. If I win, I'm supposed to. If I lose, I'm a shithead.
Call it the gunslinger conundrum. So I have it written down there. It's like, once you become the fastest gun in the West, the only thing you can do is die. Remember that Ballad of Buster Scruggs movie? Fantastic Coen Brothers movie. All the Wild West vignettes and guys out there in the beginning. He's like and then all of a sudden a faster gun comes. Like the gunslinger conundrum exists in every sport. Like once you get there, the only thing you can do is die. There's nothing else you can do. A faster, younger gun is coming, and it's just about holding on to it for as long as you can. And they do a good job of that in this movie. And his reign wasn't even that long.
I mean, but in a meta context, what makes me sad every single time, where it's like, if you watch this movie and don't know anything, the last, like, oh, Josh went on to play baseball and this, and he went fishing.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, yeah. And then you do the Wikipedia search, and he's not playing chess anymore. And I think he gave a quote about being like,
He's like a motivational speaker now or something.
Yeah, but he did admit he fell out of love with chess. And I'm like, that is brutal, thinking like, okay, this kid becomes number one at such a young age, and you kind of see through the matrix of this game you're playing.
Yeah.
And what else? Weirdly, Bobby Fischer did not age well, but like, it happens to him as well, where it's like, when you're number one for that long, what else is there to do?
I have the young Fisher, when they bring the call back, they say in the beginning when they see Josh, and then the evil kid comes in, like young Fisher.
Young Fisher. When they actually thought it was Bobby Fischer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Van does that with basketball. He's like Amani Bates. Young
Jesus
Jordan.
Christ. This guy. Shout out to Amani Bates, man.
Who's your latest? Muhammad? Was like the 12-year-old guy?
What? The kid, the 12-year-old kid.
It's like young Shaq.
Young Shaq, young Wimby. You haven't seen the 12-year-old? You didn't see Craig, you didn't see the 12-year-old kid?
I can't see
Muhammad
like,
something.
Muhammad something.
He's
like
a foot
6'9",
taller than everybody.
Just, it's ridiculous.
He could have played last night in the Celtic
Warriors
Warriors
it's
game.
like child abuse.
Yeah.
It's like just destroying
it's ridiculous.
people.
Morwood's age the best. Fishburne's first scene when he does the, I'm going to watch out for you, Josh Waitzkin. Your boys use pieces to attack, lady. Like he's trying to tell her.
To attack, yeah.
And she just has no idea what's going on. I like that whole part.
I have scaring the shit out of white women. She was panicking.
Oh, what age the worst is the mom showing up to, like, she's looking around. She's like, there's a lot of Negroes in this park, Josh, you sure? And I'm like, dog, like, come on. What are we doing?
I mean, she was scared. Look, I've been to Washington. You know what's funny? I've been to Washington Square Park since it's gorgeous to me. Like, you don't think so?
No, I haven't seen it in a while. It's much nicer than it was.
Wait a
in
minute,
this movie, right?
This is also set in the late 80s, so I don't know how.
Oh, okay. Am I talking about the right part though? Is this the one by NYU? Oh,
Yeah.
that's the one by NYU? Bro, that's one of my favorite parts of New York. And so I was looking for the chess addicts, and they don't have them anymore, I don't think they're there.
I think it was a lot gamier in the late 80s.
I guess
that.
there were still guys playing chess, but the park was like,
it's a
gorgeous.
very beautiful park.
Yeah. I guess New York went through a huge change.
Yeah.
Thanks to the $150 million
man. Can we talk about Villain Kid for What's Age the Best?
You think that's age the best?
Just the actual look of Villain Kid is just like he either could have been in this movie or Damien Omen for the remake. He just he's the hair. He has that like shitty look on his face. And the kid's 7, and you're just like, I fucking hate this kid.
Yep.
And he's a 7-year-old. But there's just something about how he carries himself that I love.
I mean, what I love about this movie is Josh sees him, and he's like, I don't want any parts of that.
Right.
Motherfucker. Which I love, like that.
It's like Rocky IV. It's like when he sees Drago for the first time, he's like, fuck.
By the way, that kid is Drago.
Yeah.
You know how Rocky has like a family and he loves people, yet Drago is like legitimately created in a lab to do nothing but win. This kid has been training chess since he was 4.
And the professor is like Drago's trainer.
It's
Whatever
like
he
Drago's
hits, he destroys.
He destroys.
When the professor's like, he doesn't even go to school.
Right, bro. He doesn't go to school. He don't do nothing but fuck over people at chess.
Let's call him Drago from now on.
That's all he does. And look, doesn't have good connection to humans. A dude makes a bad move, he's watching, he laughs.
Yeah.
Like he's just a little chess asshole.
Those are what the chess people are like, though. I think a lot of them, I don't know if the social skills, because they're just in their own fucking chess world half the time. What else do you have for What's Age the Best? Anything?
This is a small one, but yo, Josh got them shoes on. I don't know what they were. Like the fucking pump kicks.
Oh, those are hard.
They're so good.
Oh, the Reebok, the D Browns?
Yeah, like
yeah. That had a nice run there.
those
in
are the
early
ones where
90s.
my mom was like, "We're not getting you those fucking shoes, bro. You're never gonna use the pump." I'm like, "I'll always fucking use the pump."
What do you have?
My
Anything?
fat ass pop that pump real early. Fighting at these events, like actually, remember there's an actual physical fight. The actual physical parent fighting at the thing has aged really good. You see it like all the time
Instagram's
now.
been really good for those.
Instagram's been really
They
good.
show
what does
a lot
the
of
dad
like,
say? I laugh every single time. He's like, I wasn't scratching. I wasn't pulling my ear. I was
Right.
scratching.
yeah.
And
Well, they had that one shot where they're just standing over the kids watching the match. And like, oh, this isn't going to go well.
and just like nosy ass, well-meaning teachers.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
I also like when the teacher, Drago's trainer, comes in, the old professor, and he's like, he never gives up. He's not going to disappoint his teacher. And he just throws that at Bruce.
Just
Fucking dagger.
to fuck with him.
Yeah.
Just so we know, when we talk about a villain in a movie,
Yeah.
villains in movies typically do things for no other reason other to torture your protagonist. He comes in, asks for the application, gets the application, then puts the application on the table as he is leaving.
Yeah.
His only purpose of coming in that day was to fuck with them.
Yeah.
There was no other reason than to say, hey, here's the kid that's going to stop your run. That's it. It's mind games.
I loved it. Big Kahuna Burger Award, best use of food and drink. It's giving the candy to Tony Shalhoub,
Giving
right?
the candy
I think it was gummy bears. I was
Or
like, what
gummy
is-
bears,
gummy
whatever
bears,
it is.
But yeah, like I said, Monk, when I saw Monk, he just does something with his eyes where even though he just got his ass beat by,
Yeah.
and that is also great fucking movie making because you realize you're like, oh, this is a decent kid. Like he
Yeah.
had so much fun. He doesn't want to like be like, I just be an adult. He's like, nah, let's share some candy. Let's break bread.
Mhm.
Den of Thieves, Benihana Award for scene stealing location. Though the poker room you mentioned earlier that lived in New York City. I like that one. And I like the location of the last match was good too.
Oh,
I'll
with
go
them
with
on
those.
the pedestal. And
Yeah,
like,
just that they do that wide shot of the room. It's just cool. It looks very like regal.
So when you were saying the poker room, you mean like when they were all in there playing chess together?
When
Yeah,
they
that's-
brings
yeah.
Josh in.
Yeah.
The Great Shot Gordo Award for most cinematic shot. That what they do with Josh when he's about to play the Drago, and Drago looks over and Josh is gone from one seat. He's at another table, and then it goes back to the kid. And he looks over and the seat's empty again. He's at another table. It's like how they do it. Like they're telling the story that he's winning, but they do it in like a cool way. And we're just focusing on Drago.
I like the shot of knocking all of the chess pieces off of.
Oh, that's a good one too.
yeah. Of
Yeah,
knocking
that's
all the
good.
chess pieces
Yeah,
off.
you're right. That's
this
better.
isn't as good as that, but it reminded me. I'm like, Fishburne. If you ever need a character in a movie to give your protagonist two choices, you get Fishburne because the beginning of this movie reminded me of the fucking Matrix when he's like,
Right.
you can take the knight or you can take the baseball, and I'm like, this kid is like,
Yeah.
I'm like he's taking the knight. I'm like,
Lil
Fishburne
Neo.
is fucking great at this shit.
Mhm.
The Vincent Chase Award for Are We Sure This Character Was Actually Good at His Job? It has to go to Bruce the teacher.
Oh, it's definitely
bruh.
Bruce,
definitely
were you good at your job? Because now young Josh hates chess, and you just made him cry and got told to leave his
Wait.
apartment.
When he's like, it'll make my job harder, and then the wife is like, so your job's fucking harder. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh.
Bruce comes into the movie. Shout out to Bruce. And all Bruce does is bitch and complain. Bruce comes into the movie, first of all, steals the people money the first time, goes up there and plays
Yeah.
Life and Monopoly and Connect Four. I get it. Trying to
He
build
didn't
it.
steal the money.
That's stealing money, bro.
It was. I'm getting to know him. Here,
He's
I need
building a
$60.
Hey,
connection.
bro, 10 minutes of us going back and forth. Let's get into some chess. We paying you $60 an hour. It's a lot of money. It's go for what was going on. But that and then just every other time, Bruce doesn't come to the tournament. Bruce doesn't like. Bruce
Yeah.
is like what's with you, dog? What are we doing? You know what I mean? To quote Charles.
Butch's Girlfriend Award for the weak link of the film. Well, what do you guys have for this?
I have one, and
Yeah.
I'm sick of this. I have the little sister, and let me tell you why. I'm sick of these mute, know-nothing siblings in these movies that show up for no reason. I've talked about this before. That all of these movies. What was the movie we just did? We did it not too. We did
Yo.
Bronx Tale. Bronx Tale. There's like a little sister in the movie for no apparent reason that serves no purpose other than to ask us, yo, what about the other kid? You
No,
know-
there is another purpose because if it's an only child, maybe the psychology of that character is going to be slightly different
Give it
than
to
if
me.
it's a. No, if it has a brother or sister, two brothers, whatever, then it's like this bigger family. You can kind of get lost in it. It makes more sense.
Yeah,
And
I-
also, he has a cute scene where he's like trying to teach his like baby sister how to play chess, and she's just like, "No, I want to play." And you're like, you realize in
Yeah.
that moment, you're like, "Oh, he's not a normal." kid."
I like where you're going with it though. There is a lot of
I don't like when
sibling baggage
they
in
just
movies.
the little sibling back. Give her something to do, man.
I'm gonna say honestly, the other professor dude, because I needed one or two more scenes of him really just being an asshole. Like he should have been looking at Josh's games, being like, "Your boy's cooked." Like,
So
yeah.
I had him in the Ruffalo Hand and Rubeneck Partridge overacting award. Because he's just so cartoonishly. He's the only one who's kind of like a cartoon character in
Emperor
this movie.
Palpatine, yeah.
He's got the big.
But then
big
he kind of
accent.
disappears for the rest of the
Yeah.
movie. He shows up, and then you're just like, where is he? And then it's just Drago for the whole movie. But hey,
My weak link is the same as the hottest take. I just feel like Fishburne could have been in this movie for like 15 more minutes, and I would have moved some other stuff out.
The problem is that, well, it's not a problem. It's that, so they're not going to let him in his house. That's not going to happen. So Fishburne never comes into the Waitskin house.
but then who was paying for his hotel bill?
I mean, I'm saying,
The Waitskins had to, but there's only two people that have wisdom in this movie. It's him and it's the mom, right?
yeah, you're right.
And the mom has the two best points in the movie, and I feel like Fishburne, there's more. I feel like he has more kernels to drop, but we never get it. Like
The
we
mom
don't have the
likely
scene.
ran away with Fishburne after the movie. She's sick of it. You know.
God damn it, that was my probably unanswerable question.
Wait, you think the mom was feeling Fishburne?
The mom definitely divorced Joey Zaza.
Oh, no, that's definitely happening.
Oh, I think it happened in Chicago. Fred went to bed and she's like, I'm too wired. I'm going to go take a walk. I think she went right to Vinny's room. Vinny, does your room have a hotel bar?
Yeah.
For your little bar bottles?
What are you watching in there? what are you going on in there?
Can we talk about Josh for a second?
Right. Vinny comes out,
What do you
he's
got
wearing the towel around his waist. He's like, he's looking around like
Vinny's
he's
not
like,
a milk merchant.
Where's your
Stop.
husband at?
Stop.
Yeah, Vinny.
What's age the worst? Everything about Bobby Fischer that you would ever read.
Yeah, that's my answer.
Really rough.
Can I say something real quick?
Really,
Can I say something about Bobby
really
Fischer,
rough.
though? This might have been. Craig doesn't look at Craig. Craig's going crazy.
In 93, this movie made so much more sense.
It did, because and this is one of the first times that this has happened to me. Because remember, like OJ or these other guys, I didn't really take any interest in those guys.
It's definitely
besides
changed
what I was
Naked Gun a
told.
little bit.
Yeah, of course.
OJ.
Of course. Besides what I was told.
Yeah.
After this, I got deep into Bobby Fischer. I started reading about Bobby Fischer. I
Right.
started looking up what I could look. There wasn't any internet, so it was like not like I could go and just like pull up Bobby. I was really into Bobby Fischer. And then years ago, when Bobby Fischer comes back and he's just totally
That's
whatever,
rough.
it was very, very sad. I watched that 30 for 30. Was it a 30 for 30? It was some. Anyway, this is great. I can't remember what it was. I should have probably looked it up before I got on the podcast.
I
But
don't think it was a 30.
it might not have been a 30 for 30, but it was like,
I mean, I couldn't remember
it was
doing
like
a
the-
Terminator 2 rewatchables with you 2 years ago.
right. But like the swan song of Bobby Fischer was so sad that it does change the movie a little bit.
There's another what's age the worst with this where, like, when I was growing up, there were these tortured geniuses in sports that y'all kind of liked, but at the same time, you know, they're a disaster. Like Bobby Knight was like that, the Indiana coach. Where it was like, this guy is like the best college basketball coach, but he's got these demons and he says
He
crazy
started
shit.
kicking kids' ass.
And he's-
Rest in peace.
Yeah,
but
and finally had to go. McEnroe was like that in tennis. It was like, this guy is a fucking artist and he can't stay out of his own way.
Draymond
Like,
Green.
Draymond Green now.
Woody Hayes.
Woody Hayes punched a player during a game. So, and Fisher was always lumped into this.
It's called
Like,
Bobby
this guy
Fischer
was the
Against the
best.
World. That's the name of the documentary that I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, HBO.
HBO.
HBO, that's what it was. I knew it. But anyway, so that was kind of his legacy of like tortured genius. And then, you know, he set that on fire. The only other what's age the worst is just, well, I'll save that for nitpicks.
I have one that's a very small nitpick. If I was a kid and I was thinking about like, what could my father do to like take me on a fun vacation, take me away from chess?
Not fishing?
It wouldn't be fishing for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, that sounds terrible, actually.
Yeah, chess sounds more fun than fishing for 2
For
weeks.
2 weeks,
Yeah.
you're from you know how to fish.
Yeah.
Would you want your dad to take you fishing for 2 weeks
I
as
was
a
about to
reward?
say, you two city motherfuckers. Like, you have no idea you're going fishing with your dad, and you're hanging out, you get there.
It's just a lot
you're
of
fishing
waiting
for
on a
s-
boat.
you're
I've gone
fishing-
fishing with my dad. It was just like a lot of fucking
I don't get
waiting.
fishing at all.
I'm about to lose my goddamn mind hearing you guys talk about fishing. We go out there, get the boat, fish for some accolade, fish for some bass. It's one of the best times you can have. Fishing trip with Van and his ringer crew. We're all gonna go to Santa Barbara. Me and Kalika went to Santa Barbara during the pandemic, and we fished in the lake up there. It was fantastic. We spent the whole day on the lake in the boat fishing.
Is this when you get your numbers officially?
Mhm.
Okay. Was there a better title for this movie? I would say now, yes. Maybe go with something else.
Oh, actually, you could just
call it like Bring the Queen Out or something.
You could Bring the Queen Out. That's a Beyonce movie. you could actually do the same title with just a question mark. Searching for Bobby Fischer?
Really?
Like, do we really? Like the same title, just we want to find
Could
him?
it be why Bobby? Why?
Why, Bobby, why?
7 question marks.
Could you have gotten like a more cliche one where it's just like me and Vinnie, and that's where it's like Laurence Fishburne is really in the movie.
No, I mean the cliched one would have been like Checkmate.
Yes, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Best quote it's anything from that speech.
Mm-hmm.
So Charles is here with really one of the professional hot take givers at the Ringer. You're certainly in the upper echelon.
Honored.
You've been known to throw a take around from time to time. What do you have for your Stephen A. Smith Hottest Take Award?
All right, it might be because I'm finally out of my 20s. I'm 31 now. Bruce was fucking right. You need contempt for your enemies. And I don't know what this movie is trying to teach the youth, but you're at a tournament, bro. If Josh was my son, I'm just like, I get that you're like a decent guy, but like, don't try to tie this boy.
Kill
like,
the 7-year-old kid.
Yeah, beat his fucking ass. Like, I do think that this is probably responsible for about 10 to 15% of the participation trophy award culture that I grew up in when I was an athlete. And at the end of the year, I would get a trophy and I'm like, I sucked. I didn't score any goals in soccer. Why am I getting a trophy? And this movie, I think, is patient zero for that.
So this movie is a participation trophy movie.
That's a fantastic. This is ground zero for participation trophy culture.
When
Josh offering a draw.
Well, here's the thing. When
he's got a good heart.
Was Bruce wrong? Was Bruce wrong by saying like, yo, you need to have contempt for your enemies? I'm like, that is good. You should tell that to a player.
Yeah. You know what's funny?
It's a pretty good take.
So you're saying your deals kill all competition. You guys are going to get along so well. While you're here, you and Bill are going to be on the same page.
I hate everybody. I just want to win. You're either with me or against me. What do you got for hottest take, man?
Oh, my hottest take is actually wrapped into my unanswerable question.
Yeah.
Is that like her and Vinnie definitely ran away together. Like my hottest take is they definitely ran away together. Like they definitely had hot interracial. It was. I mean, it's like she basically. There's a subplot to the movie to where she didn't want him to stop going to the park because she didn't want him to stop giving her a reason to see Vinnie the entire time. So that's the whole
Van's
thing.
right. There is another plot where they're going to the park and she's like putting makeup on. She's like, "Why are you getting ready to go?" "Oh, because I'm going out with the girls after." But it's really because she's going
Josh
to the park.
At any point in this subplot call Vinnie dad.
Yeah. It's his pops right there. Shout out to them, man.
Casting what ifs.
Oh, this is interesting.
Laurence Fishburne's role was originally offered to Ice-T.
Wait, what?
Oh. That's interesting.
In what way, then?
Because, okay. So
it's a worse movie.
It's a worse movie, but Ice-T does have this, like, Ice-T has this, like, really relatable on-screen thing to where in that role, playing somebody that had that type of edge, there's a world where like that works. People say whatever. Ice-T is great on camera. Great on camera.
It was a nice time for Ice-T to be
Yeah.
in.
Oh,
Like,
I
he
have
was
a hot take, but I
pretty
can't
young.
say it because this is not a safe space. But there is a movie out there, one of probably his most popular roles, that Ice-T makes probably 10 or 15% worse.
What's the movie? Say it.
New Jack City.
Oh, you out of your motherfucking mind. You know, see what I'm saying? Like, you know, see, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I knew I'd piss him
no,
off.
like it's nah, dog. Like this is like I said. This is the thing. Everybody who listens to the Midnight Boys is like, that's Charles. Like, there's no fucking way, bro. Like that movie is legitimately what I was referencing when I'm talking about the fact that he has a way on screen that he delivers that.
You like him in New Jack City?
Yeah, I'm not even having this conversation. He delivers that kind of real visceral
As always
shit.
with Charles, I appreciate the take. I think he's good at New Jack City, though.
Of course he is.
Yeah.
What?
He got favorable reviews when we did it.
Like, of course he's good. Like, It's the best work he's done.
Max Pomeranc chose it because he was a real life chess player, not to the level, but that's why his chess stuff seemed real because he actually played. And then the real Bruce is, this is just what I copy and pasted, a Brooklynite with a mustache, glasses, and curly brown hair, friendly and soft spoken.
Huh.
So that guy must have been like, the fuck?
Yeah, I'm a nice guy.
Here's
What
the
you
thing,
got going?
Jesus.
If Ben Kingsley was playing me as well as Ben Kingsley plays Bruce in this,
Yeah.
I'd be like,
Kinda
I'm
gotta
not an
give it up.
asshole, but
Yeah, kind of give
fuck,
it up.
come on. He's
Yeah.
killing it.
Vin, do you like Ben Kingsley more in this movie or Species?
But first of all, I went to see Species for very specific
Oh,
reasons.
don't think it's not on the 2024 slate.
Oh, I love it. I like him more in this movie, but like Ben Kingsley is one of those guys. He is a Prime Video fucked up movie veteran.
100%.
Like
Sexy Beast.
you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
so like Kingsley, he doesn't, he gets around there as far as what he does. He spreads it around a little bit. And you know,
He certainly doesn't make movies worse.
he doesn't. He doesn't do it at all.
He's like the Jeff Green of movies.
He's almost a guy to me.
Even though he won an Oscar.
He won an Oscar, but then he went back into
Moved
being
into
that guy.
he became
Like
character actor Ben
like,
Kingsley.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Ben
after that.
Kingsley was Gandhi, correct?
He
Yes,
was.
gone.
That was my first introduction to him in school. I was like, oh, word, okay, cool. So Ben Kingsley, love him in this movie.
Yeah.
Less than Gandhi.
Controversial Oscar because, if I'm remembering this correctly, he beat Paul Newman in The Verdict, which is a really
It's
tough one.
Tough for Paul too.
Let me see. Yeah, he beat Paul Newman in The Verdict, and he beat Dustin Hoffman in Tootsie, which is an absolutely loaded year.
You would have thought that Paul would have, you know what I mean? That they
Is that one of the Oscars that's aged the worst, probably?
Yeah, but Gandhi was a thing when it came out. I mean, I was much younger, but it was a really important big movie, and those things don't. It was back in the day when movies like that came out every year, and everybody had to say it was the best movie. But now I just think we look at movies differently.
Yeah.
Like, I think The Verdict, I think Newman would have won. I think Tootsie probably would have won Best Picture over Gandhi.
It was hard for, I mean, it was
With Sir Richard Attenborough, and it's just
there was a little different reverence for a certain type of film.
big, sprawling, giant historical
Right.
dramas, well acted, huge score. Like
Y'all were
Chariots
getting
of
off the
Fire.
high
one.
Chariots of
Once
I
a
was just
year.
thinking I was just thinking about Chariots of Fire. Like we don't even talk about Chariots of Fire as much as but like the theme from Chariots of Fire and the whole deal, it lasted for a long time about how important the movie was.
Do you know whose favorite movie Chariots of Fire is? I'll give you 100 guesses.
Fin-
He's
Fantasy?
over 80 years old, and he's in all of our lives.
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Would you listen to a Joe Biden Rewatchables about Chariots of Fire?
Absolutely not.
Well, I
would
mean, the
not?
good thing about it is we could put on Belly and just tell him it was Chariots of Fire, and he wouldn't fucking know. They're gonna be so mad at that one. That's gonna be the one that gets me fucked up. Of all the things that I'm saying, they're gonna be so, and we're not taking it out. Fuck it. He's old. I don't give a fuck. We can talk about it, man.
Best That Guy award. Tony Shalhoub was That Guy when they made this movie. Now he's Tony Shalhoub. I don't think he counts.
Well, that in that case, you can't really. None of them count.
None of them.
It's
Because
tough. They were all that guys who graduated. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I don't know if we have
Maybe
the professor, the evil guy, evil.
I never seen him. in
most
nothing
of the
else.
Draga's
that
teacher?
guys have healthier careers
Yeah.
than the main cast does right now, which makes this very different.
So Dion Waiters, we're giving to Tony Shalhoub. Shout out to Laura Linney though,
Shout out to Laura Linney for sure.
really good in that. Recasting couch. I don't know if I'd touch this movie. Would you change anybody? Maybe the professor.
I have two people that for Vinnie.
Vinny, what do you got? Who?
I'm crashing this, but Samuel L. Jackson as Vinnie
Oh,
would be fan.
we just had him
They
in
did it
Under
in-
Siege. We in
Under
the Gary
Siege.
Busey part.
They
we
did
were
it,
just
but
wondering.
they did it in Fresh. He essentially is Vinny in Fresh.
Yeah.
Shout out to Boaz.
Yeah, but I think Fishburne is like OG. Have nothing against
Yeah.
it. But if Samuel L. Jackson's in this role, like
I tell you what, This Samuel L. Jackson, Laurence Fishburne thing.
It's like a 7-season narrative podcast.
You should like this thing that remember the Quentin came on Quentin. I don't fucking know that dude. Tarantino came on the pod and did a whole fucking
The
thing.
Rewatchables, how he wrote.
Yeah.
He wrote Pulp Fiction for Laurence Fishburne.
It's just like these guys were interchangeable at one time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, this is a hard question. Who would you take? Both of you.
I don't know. 6 and 1/2 dozen the other. Really. It's your recasting. 6 and 1/2.
I mean, the other recast, you guys are going to think I'm crazy.
Go ahead.
But it crashes your other category. Danny Trejo as Vinny.
Oh, interesting.
actually-
Would be
okay.
so good. Like, really good.
I like that one even actually more than yeah. Okay.
Half-assed internet research. We did most of it, and there's a lot. You can go Google the movie and read about all the real life chess people. The Russian, some of these people were real, including the Russian player in the park that he plays in the beginning, who slept in the park and would wake up. And there's just a lot of hardcore. It depends how much you care. The Josh Waitzkin part. So he left chess and became a Chinese martial arts guy.
Yeah.
And won multiple world championship titles in Chinese martial arts, including in jiu-jitsu, and is a BJJ black belt. I don't even know what that means.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Okay.
Gracie family, all
Sounds
of those guys, UFC. Yeah.
Apex Mountain, chess movies, I'm going to say yes.
I say yes, yeah.
Yes. Definitely Max the Kid.
I love Fresh, but
Max the Kid. Joe Mantegna?
no.
Joey Zaza?
Joey Zaza still.
I honestly, if this movie had done better, I would say it's this, but it made only half the money of the budget.
You know, it's funny.
Maybe it's belatedly this, but it's not in the moment. I think Godfather 3 was bigger for him because that was a huge movie. It still made money.
The thing is, the movie didn't make as big a big enough impact. You know how you look at somebody else and you go, there's fucking Barzini,
Yeah.
there's fucking Tatalia, there's fucking whoever.
Right.
Joey Zaza's not quite to that level, but it's probably would still be that movie over this.
Got nominated for best Oscar, for our best picture Oscar.
Yeah.
It probably is.
Can I pitch y'all on Apex Mountain?
Yeah.
Live action movies that came out this year. I think this might be the apex for this certain. We have The Sandlot.
Yeah.
Cool Runnings, Hocus Pocus, and then the remake of Homeward Bound. And on the animated side, Batman, Mask of the Phantasm.
Mm-hmm.
Nightmare Before Christmas. Like, this is like, the whole 90s was a great year, but I was like looking at like 92, 93, 94, 95, like Disney Renaissance is happening. And they're like, if you look at the Disney Plus live action movies they're making now, they do not look like Cool Runnings or Searching for Bobby Fischer. They're not even written that way. This is like the apex for a certain level of, we're not slumming it in children's movies. We're actually going to try to tell a very complex, nuanced story.
Yeah.
Which I think they kind of quit that shit by the 2000s.
Well, partly because this movie only made $7 million,
make
right? They didn't.
But
It's
VHS. We're not factoring in like how much did this make on the VHS
and the
market,
rewatchability.
Yeah.
all that stuff.
You're right. I was just out of college in '93, and I went to all these movies, and it was just an unbelievable movie year in general. And it's so different than it is now. It was just every week there was like 2 movies that came out. You're like, I want to see that. I want to see that.
Bill, come on. We get a new MCU Disney Plus show every year. Like, this
Fair.
is a pretty good
Yeah,
era.
well, it shifted to
didn't
TV.
Miss Marvel.
Apex Mountain for bringing out your queen early.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Well, it depends.
That's a good little, I'm blanking on a way to say. I can't speak all of a sudden. Like a little joke that you could say, like if you're out at a bar.
Bringing out your queen early.
Yeah, you bring
I
out
don't
his
know.
queen this
You say
early.
that
I
in
don't
the
know.
Wrong bar, you know.
Well, but it's just like the euphemism. That's the word I was
Right.
looking for.
Euphemism.
But it sounds like a euphemism that could be used to different things.
You bring out your queen early.
You bring it out now?
Bring it out now. Okay, cool.
I don't know.
Hey, man,
Workshopping it.
Your queen might get took. You bring it out too early.
Uh-oh.
Might take your queen.
Got taken.
I like that.
Vin, what chess piece are you?
That's a great question.
I like when Bruce answers it for him. You're this one.
Yeah.
It's the king.
See, the only reason why I would say I'm the king is because really the king is like he's really kind of the most useless. I'm important, but yet useless at the same
Moving
time.
one step at
Moving
a time.
one step.
4 directions.
Everybody thinks you have more potential than you actually do.
Come on.
You need a lot of protection. Apex Mountain for Ben Kingsley, no.
No.
Apex Island for Joan Allen, no. She's in a movie. She finally peaked in a starring movie
The
called
Contender.
The Contender. That's excellent.
Yeah.
And I don't think it did as well as maybe it should have.
But,
But
I mean, it was
it's
a
the kind of movie
huge,
they don't
huge
make
movie.
anymore.
Yeah, it's Christian Slater, Jeff
Bridges is the president.
Yeah, fucking shark.
Really
stick
good
sandwich.
president.
Yeah,
It's good.
It's a great movie.
Laurence Fishburne. I think you could make a case between this and What's Love Got to Do with It same year.
Really?
Because he gets nominated for an Oscar. I think this
The
might be
year for
the
him.
93 Laurence Fishburne. I think this is around where it is. It's 2 years after Boys in the Hood. And it's now he's getting major parts. He's leading a movie. It seems like the sky's the limit.
The only problem is the Morpheus problem.
I feel like Morpheus is definitely.
So you go Matrix.
Just because it's
Yeah,
literally
that's-
one of the greatest films ever made. And he is like, he literally is one of the
That's probably the
greatest
first
movies ever
movie
made.
on the obituaries. Like Laurence Fishburne, Matrix did it. Because it just,
So wouldn't it be like Oscar nominee Laurence Fishburne? It would be
It
like
might, but
Laurence
here's the
Fishburne,
thing.
the Matrix star.
like we're also forgetting, and this sucks for Laurence Fishburne. Like the red pill, blue pill. Like when
It's
the
just-
meat, like it's just he's
Yeah.
so much. His face means you think of that movie. To me, at least.
it's fair.
Mhm.
How about Evil Kids? I'm going to say no.
Nah.
Any other Apex?
We did chess movies, right?
Washington Square?
Washington Square Park. This is my Apex movie, Washington Square Park. Is there another Washington Square Park movie that's bigger than this?
There has to be.
Like where it's like a main part or just walking by it.
Just where it's like a main part of it. I mean, Washington Square Park is in I Am Legend, but like not very, because he
Nah,
lives right there.
When Harry Met Sally, they like walk through it.
That's true. Harry Marcel is a big deal.
It's a bigger character in this,
Yeah.
but. All right, pick a nits. Bruce, my wife hates you. Would you like to come to Chicago for the tournament?
All right.
Just not happening.
Right.
Once she kicks him out of the house, Bruce isn't coming to Chicago.
I had that question too.
And they never piece it up. They never piece it up.
Never has one more moment with her.
Nah, you got to piece it up at some point. By the way, that's like the second or third time she kicked his fucking ass. She kicked his ass in the diner and then
Yeah.
ate her salad. Fuck you. Then she kicked him out of the house. Bruce is done.
Bruce can't come. Should we bring Vinnie from the park? Yeah, let's do it. We'll get him a plane ticket. What?
Yeah.
That
I
was
mean,
weird.
They also, we needed a scene where they were like, yo, sorry, Vinny. Like, we were kind of assholes. Because, like, there's that scene where the mom is walking Josh by the park and they don't even, like, wave or say hi. And Josh is, like, heartbroken. I'm like, we couldn't have seen y'all say, like, yo, sorry, man. Like,
This would be a good rewatchables category. If you could have only added one scene, what would it be? Because my scene would be either the mom or the dad going to the park to talk to Vinny about Josh,
yes.
and Josh telling some, like basically Fishburne getting his, here's my Oscar speech for if I get nominated for Best Supporting Actor, they'll play this 90 seconds. Him giving some speech about, you know, when I was growing up or whatever it
The
is.
speech
Just
is-
some background
The
with him.
speech, this is what the speech is. The speech is what happened to him.
Yeah.
Drove his life into where it is right now.
Yeah.
And it makes the parents think about how they want to love and show up for Josh. It's like, you know, where I was maybe there's some old fucking picture of him. He goes in his wallet. Let me show you something. Puts a cigarette in his mouth. Let me show you something right here. And he holds up him. That's me right there. Harlem chess champion.
Right.
1978.
First one.
First
Black champion.
First black champion, right? You know who this is? The fucking groundskeeper guy from Rudy.
Oh, yeah.
Now we
Yeah.
get another magical Negro,
Yeah.
by the way. But the fucking
He is
groundskeeper,
magical.
like the fucking groundskeeper guy from Rudy, who was so mad at racism that he derailed his football career and blamed himself. He blames himself for it. Okay, it wasn't that people were actually being racist towards him. He was mad about it. But anyway, I digress.
Van, can I say something about that point?
At the end, it's clap. Like,
The one
that
guy
is
is
an
he's a
all-time
one
clap.
clapper.
He's like the one. He's so overcome with emotion. He's a one clap and he almost broke his fucking wrist clapping for Rudy, bro.
Is this your audition for the Rudy Pod?
Ah, dog, love it, Rudy. At TMZ, I worked with Rudy's friend. You know Rudy's friend who gets burned in the fucking thing, Pete.
Yeah.
That guy. You ever watch TMZ and when you hear, "Hey, this is that guy," is Rudy's
Pete
friend.
from Notre Dame?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
That guy is Rudy's friend that gets
Jesus.
burned up, and that makes Rudy go to Notre Dame.
How many times did you guys talk about this?
I used to ask him about it all the time. He's a great guy. He's one
Real
of the nicest guys I've ever
quick,
met.
though, nitpick.
He was a super guy.
I didn't realize how fast they're just like, Josh knows how to play chess now. I'm just like, there wasn't like some
Yeah, we needed like a montage scene of him in the park.
That's why I asked.
Yeah.
I asked, is chess one of those things, you know how Will Hunting says, with this kind of stuff, I could always just play? Is chess one of those things to where if you're fucking dope at chess, you just look at the chessboard and the fucking chessboard just makes sense?
I still think there's things about it like, I took your piece. Where do I put it? What are these things with, I have to hit this button? Like, it doesn't
There's
feel like you hop in.
Like, oh, you're going to knock over the queen when you, like all the stuff. I was like.
Even he's 7, he's going to be like, do I get to go 2 times in a row?
Yes.
He just instinctively knows every piece out of it. It's a good nitpick. I have a nitpick. No shots fired at Max, who was really good in this, but little Josh is supposed to be like this. He's a really good athlete. And then we see him get a hit in the game and he's running to first base.
Oh, man.
His limbs are going 5 different. I'm like, all right, they could have body doubled that or something.
I thought that the point of that scene was that he's lying about how good he is.
Oh, interesting.
Because
he is not running like an awesome 8-year-old athlete.
I thought he was like doing the thing that a 7 or 8-year-old did. He's like, yo, I got like I slam dunked like fucking 4 or 5
and then you see him,
times,
he's like
and then
barely
you see the
gonna.
game. You're
Yeah,
just
that's
like you're
fair.
on the bench.
Also, at the end, would all the other kids be that happy for Josh? Would you have a pouring in of all these weird chess kids who just are devastated they lost the tournament? They're gonna be like, oh, Josh won. Yeah, great job. It's weird. It's a weird ending.
The kids, period, are just like,
why are they still there? I'd be on the fucking car going home.
Yeah.
Get me out of here. I lost.
Whoa, but at this time, maybe they are molded by being nerds. Like this is
like they want to see what the formations of the strategy of the last game and shit. I was
more so thinking they got to keep strong together. This is the 1980s. Y'all were still a little bit uninvolved. You know what I'm saying? You were shoving people into lockers. They're like, yo, there's more of us than there are then.
They're babies.
Yeah.
They're little kids.
Whoa. There weren't bullies when you were 7 or 8?
Nah, dog. 7, I don't know. Maybe they were. I think they were. DeMel. Shout out to DeMel. I had to put some on this motherfucker.
Any other nitpicks?
I had to fuck DeMel up. You looking at it now. I'm thinking about it now. Like I told my dad, I was like, yo, I'm having a fight tomorrow. And my dad was like, what? Like, this motherfucker keep trying to steal chips. I would get chips. If you had the highest grades in the class, you would get chips. You get a little chip party every Friday. DeMel tried to steal my chips. And one Friday, I waited for him to reach for a chip. God, DeMel.
What type of fucking prison school were you going to where they were waiting for your fucking chips after class?
Like this guy, DeMel.
Chip stealing.
He was trying to steal your chips because I would have the, he wanted to steal your chips. He tried to reach for my chips. I'm like, nah, I ain't stealing my chips no more, motherfucker. No, that's it. You got me thinking about old trauma.
Sequel, prequel, prestige TV, all black cast, or untouchable.
I have a prestige pitch for you.
Let's hear it. Queen's Gambit 2?
A24 limited series.
Yeah.
Netflix is like, yo, Queen's Gambit is going crazy. In the Ben Kingsley role,
Bruce.
we have Adam Driver at his creepy girl's peak, like just like a fucking freak of nature having to teach this kid.
Yeah.
And then for Vinny, we have Lakeith Stanfield.
That works.
Oh.
That works.
And you just do it as a series.
Just the same one?
Same story, but then we get into like the twisted backstory of Drago and his family. So we're getting like, he's not going to school. Like his family, I think this is all Wikipedia research. Like they were like running from the law and like trying to escape it. I'm just like, we could do like, the good kid from the good family against Drago. It would be fucking basically like.
I would definitely watch the first episode.
I would do all black cast, but it's going to be too cliche if you do all black cast. Because it's going to be, it's this kid's only ticket out. It's his chess ability.
If you say Kevin Hart is fucking Vinny, I'm going to fucking leave.
It's all black cast. It's too serious for all black cast because it's going to be now this kid's got to play chess for the whole hood.
How about Tyler Perry gets checkmate?
Man, stop. Stop.
Tyler Perry brings out his queen too soon.
Whoa! All right, that's a callback
to a previous joke. That was fair.
I'm just saying.
Jesus. Is this movie better with Wayne Jenkins, Danny Trejo, Catherine Hahn, Steve Buscemi, Sam Jackson, J.T. Walsh, Byron Mayo, or Philip Baker Hall?
Kind of did the Sam Jackson thing.
Yeah, we already did the Sam
Buscemi-
Jackson. We did Sam Jackson and Danny Trejo.
Mm-hmm.
Buscemi as the father. Does it still work?
Well, Buscemi definitely could have been one of the other parents.
Yeah.
Like he could have been the David Paymer part, or like he
Tuna
could.
Fish Dad?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
well, one of those guys. Just one Oscar. Who gets it? I actually think it's the script. I'd give it to Zalian.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought the script was the most Oscar-worthy thing.
I said the movie.
It's won cinematography, though, I think.
It got nominated.
Oh, just got nominated.
Yeah.
Got it.
Probably unanswerable questions. Did Drago, did he choke in the last game? Was that a choke? What are the news? What's Stephen A saying the next day on First Take?
He didn't choke. He is so arrogant that it cost him. His lack of humanity. Josh's humanity is what won the match. His lack of being able to see through being a chess machine is what lost it. So he just wasn't, he couldn't see the board. I mean, Josh is just more talented. He couldn't see the board. He couldn't see. So he just, his rigidness cost him the championship.
Stephen A would say, "You took his queen and you lost. You're supposed to be the best."
He will eat the table.
Are either of you guys a bring out the queen early guy? Or would you be patient? Because like when I played Fortnite, when I would play with my son, I was the opposite of a bring out the queen early. I was a lay low, try to wait till the numbers get down to like 20 and then make my move. My son was a bring out the queen early. Like he's just getting
No, I'm a wait and like watch the
assess
other
the situation.
Because
Yeah.
I don't got, if we're playing video games, I don't got specs in all the different shit. So you're gonna take the bullets. I can't.
I am in chess. I would be a more patient.
I'm the ADD.
You're bringing out early?
Yeah, for
All right.
sure.
Best double feature choice with this movie.
I have a good one. Rebound, the Earl Manigault story.
Oh, Don Cheadle.
Yep.
Good one.
New York setting.
Yeah.
Legendary basketball player.
Really good run of HBO, made for HBO movies right then.
Bro, you know what movie I can't find real quick? HBO did a Rat Pack movie.
Oh, I watched that on YouTube like 6 months ago. It's fantastic.
It's
Rat Pack.
legitimately a great movie.
The Late Shift is a great movie.
Like that's a really, really good one.
When the band played on, I think is the best one of all of them.
You're talking about and the band played on.
And the band played on, sorry.
Like fantastic.
Yeah.
They were really, really
They
in
spent
their
real
shit.
money on those.
Yeah. So so I would do Rebound just because when I thought about the movie, I thought about New York Story, mythical athlete, the whole nine. And if you wanted to get a little bit more adult after the Bobby Fischer situation, if you wanted, I will watch that one with it.
The Rat Pack movie. Joe Mantegna is Dean Martin.
Sure is.
Don Cheadle is Sammy Davis.
Ray
He's
Liotta.
Fucking
This
awesome.
is an HBO movie.
Yeah.
HBO movie.
Ray Liotta is Frank
Frank Sinatra.
Sinatra. But Don Cheadle is, and the Sammy parts are the best parts of the movie.
This is
like,
early Cheadle.
this
Kind
is like
of.
mid-late 90s?
It's when it's the rise of him as a wow, like this guy can go. Like Don is as a.
It's all about them trying to get Kennedy elected, and then afterwards Frank doesn't
Damn, this ain't
doesn't
on
get.
HBO Max.
It's
So,
fucking awesome.
I-
They should just put it back on.
There is a scene with Don as Sammy Davis Jr. where he's doing his Sammy Davis Jr. 2-gun routine, but Sammy's in his head and he's dealing with all the racism and stuff like that, and he's just performing his ass off, shooting it. It's just the movie's really, really good.
The stuff it does with Sammy is like as good as any Sammy content I've ever seen, I
Yeah,
think.
for
Because
sure.
nobody's ever really landed the plane on a Sammy project. But that one is like, and like he's dating white women, like it goes and all that. Like him and Dean are kind of the stars of the movie.
He's dating, and the Ava Gardner Frank Sinatra stuff is good too.
Yeah.
He's dating he's the woman, he can't come to the White House because he's in an interracial relationship.
Yeah.
They're campaigning for Kennedy.
It's on, yeah, you can watch that on YouTube.
They're doing this whole thing. He can't come to the White House because he's dating. It's really good. It's a really good movie.
All of those movies all those made for HBO movies should just be fucking, what is Warner Brothers doing? Just put that shit back on. Those were all really good.
They also did one with Joe Turturro as Sam Giancana, and with his relationship with the lady from the McGuire sister. I can't remember the name. It's like,
Yeah.
like they were all really good.
And Gia was the Angelina Jolie breakout movie.
Yep.
That was the
That was a little later,
That was
like
her
early
LeBron 48-point game against the Pistons.
99, 2000?
It was before. It was like her first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. That's your little 90s HBO
And
education.
if they're bringing stuff back to HBO, do that, but also do Hookers and Johns, Hookers at the Point.
Yeah.
Pimps Up, Hoes Down. Bring back all of that stuff. That's classic content that's just gone.
House and I loved the autopsy show so much
Yes,
that we would call each other after the new episode when it would end, and we would call each other and be like, oh, because it was Dr. Michael Baden, and it would be like, and the wife, and she disappeared.
The dead men tell no tales or something like that.
They found her in the side of the kitchen.
Yeah.
That was like the earliest true crime.
It was, for sure.
What
90s
era was
was
it?
90s HBO was
Was
lit.
this Oz era?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah. This
And
is
they also
before my
had that
time.
one guy who had killed like 1 million people. What was his name? The mob hitman guy. They kept interviewing him over and over and over again. The Iceman, the Iceman dude. And they would talk to him. Like HBO had stuff about being in actual jail. It was like
It was
just
HBO was
the best.
amazing.
It's the
It was the
best.
best content.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch Oz?
Oz freaked me out so much as a kid. I'm
indescribable.
just like,
Did you watch it, Craig?
No.
It's indescribable. All right, we got to wrap this up. The Andy and Red Zawatney Award. What happened the next day? I literally wrote Fishburne took a crack at Josh's mom that night. He's like did a little tester. What piece of memorabilia would you want from this movie?
it has to be the night that he keeps going back to, the little piece.
Oh,
And it gets in the
interesting.
beginning of the movie.
I was gonna say the framed picture. Imagine if like the framed chess master picture that he gives
Ooh.
him. Just putting that right there in front of the 7-Up poster we got.
Oh, I
don't know.
also take his kicks. I'd also take Josh's kicks.
Oh, the original pumps.
Yeah.
What do you got,
You know,
Van?
I could not think of one. Like
Okay.
I really couldn't.
How about
think
the
of one.
framed picture?
The frame picture is cool.
The gummy bears, that little, I would take.
Oh, you know what? I did like real quick. So we gotta go. Like I like it's a chessboard, but it's also like a piece of furniture that they're playing on.
Oh yeah.
Like those things, I always thought those things were cool. I would actually have one of those in my house, and if I had the one from Searching for Bobby Fischer, it would be dope.
Bosom would pee on it. Coach Finstock Award, best life lesson.
Have contempt for your enemies.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like fucking sack up. and
I was
go
gonna.
win.
I had originally the only thing that matters in life is impressing your dad, but I think yours is better.
What I will say too, this movie, my last point would be, this movie kind of illustrates how you can never get in between the relationship between a mom and a child, but I've never felt as bad as like the 3 or 4 times when my dad would come home and be like, "You let me down."
That's so
and-
nuts.
Right.
And I'm like, this movie emotionally is probably why it's so affecting. Is I'm like, every single time I'm just like, oh, what were the life lessons I learned? I'm like, it was when I let my dad down. He had to sit me down and be like, I'm not even gonna like beat your ass. Like I'm not yelling. We're gonna have a talk about like what life is.
I'm not mad, son. I just thought you were better than this.
Yeah.
God damn. I'm sorry. I apologize. What I gotta do, man? You know what I mean? Tough. Yeah. Mhm.
I came home from college freshman year with a 2.5,
Mm.
and my dad held the transcript, and he's like, "What are we doing?" It was one of those. I was like, "Sorry, Dad. I'll
Well, have
make
you
that go
ever-
up."
This might be too deep. Have you ever had to have that talk with Ben and be like, oh, I'm now the disappointed dad? Like, did you feel bad in that moment? Like, fuck.
You know, it's coming. It hasn't 100% happened yet, but I will happily do it.
You're gonna happily do it? It's not gonna destroy you a little bit?
No,
y'all
it's
don't
you
understand,
have to
man.
do it. It's part of the.
Ben is a fucking force of
It's
nature.
part of the dad job.
Ben is a fucking force of nature. Ben different.
I just got to make sure he keeps going this way, just
Ben-
straight.
Ben, just real quick. Ben hit me up one time. I'm over there. Ben's like, yo, Uncle Van, come over here. I'm listening to something. And he puts, it's the fucking purple tape. Right? He's 16. The fuck, dog? Like,
I would be impressed. I'd be like,
I was fucking impressed. I'm like, why you on Raekwon? I was listening to this and shit, like, what's going on? Nah, Ben different.
Who won the movie?
Oh man. I thought Chess won the movie, is what I say, but it's Josh. It's Josh to me.
it has to be Josh because Josh they're rewriting history in this movie where it's like, if you've never heard about any of this, you're just like, God damn, Josh might be the best child chess prodigy I've ever met.
So,
and then
like,
you
you wanna
read
say
So
it,
like
it's
real life Josh.
Well, yeah. As far-
the
if-
whole
if-
Wait Skin family, I think, won.
If the movie is so even, it's hard to say that an actor won the movie. If I had to say
Yeah.
an actor won the movie, it would probably be Joe Mantegna. But like the movie is so. This is one of the most even films I've ever did. Like, so it feels like the character of Josh and what the character represent actually won the film.
I think that's the right answer. I was
Yeah.
gonna say that or chess.
Yeah.
Because this is a movie that if it would actually make somebody want to start playing chess.
Right.
Well, it's more likely to make them want to start playing chess than stop playing chess. All right, it's time. Craig, another movie you'd never seen or heard of before. What'd you think?
I don't know if I'd heard of it or not. One other life lesson, though, I think is make your child a multi-sport athlete. Don't ever force them to just play one sport.
Yeah,
their whole
good.
life.
That's always the lesson.
Like always diversifying the portfolio of sports. Like even if he's really good at one thing, like I'm always going to allow my kid and encourage him to play multiple sports.
You're
Focus
gonna have
is
tall
better.
kids too.
Yeah, we are. You guys are gonna hate this. I couldn't quite get there with this movie.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
I figured.
You're not a chess guy.
Wait, how old are you?
29. It feels like a you had to be there movie. I had never seen it as a kid. I felt like you either had to be a kid when you first saw it or you had to see it when it came out. I'm not a parent now, so I don't have that relationship either.
You don't have a heart. That's all I'll say.
No, I don't
And-
know. I like desperate. Like this movie didn't pass the phone test for me, and I like don't try to look at my phone ever when I watch a movie. And this movie, I was like found myself like, man, what's going on Twitter right now? I think it's slow. I got to be honest.
God damn.
Look, and that is not who I am. I am like a watch the movie guy. I promise. I think the lessons and the themes of this movie are better than the actual movie.
Okay.
That's how I
Actually, you
feel.
know what? To be honest with you, you do have because you're not a Christmas Vacation guy, right? You're not
I like it more than Vacation.
okay. Vacation. I figured he would feel that way.
What do those have to do with one another?
I see it.
The reason why I say that is because sometimes with movies like that,
Yeah.
there's this underlying magic sizzle that you have to buy into
Yeah.
for that movie to like make sense.
And then it keeps sizzling for years after.
Then
Yeah.
it keeps sizzling for years after. And
Yeah.
if you don't buy into the thing of the movie, then it's not.
I'm just in like the worst. I'm like 29 years old. I have no kids.
Yeah.
I had never heard of this movie. I'm just like sitting down putting this on. It's just like, yeah, the magic doesn't strike me.
right.
You know what I mean?
All right.
And I was very formative at that point. Also, the story of Bobby Fischer, which I'm not sure if you knew it or not, has been written.
Yeah, like
now.
I knew about him, but I didn't know
Right.
really much.
So I get it.
Also, I couldn't understand a fucking thing the kid was saying in the narration. I thought it was terrible.
Oh my.
Craig.
Like,
Wow.
Craig,
Jesus
you went too
Christ.
far.
I
Like,
physically,
like Craig,
no
you flew
shame.
too-
I
you flew-
couldn't understand
You
him.
flew too close to the sun, bro.
I'm not
Jesus.
insulting anybody.
It's called subtitles.
I
Yeah.
couldn't. I am so against subtitles and watching things. I couldn't understand him. I was like, I don't know what this kid's saying. I couldn't understand Ben Kingsley half the time.
I didn't know Stephen A. Smith fucking walked into the fucking goddamn
Craig.
fucking
That's why I
rewatchable
love
stage.
Craig. Keep it real all the time, man.
Before we go, what's the Ringerverse kind of comic book version of this movie?
What a good question.
Comic book version of this movie. It'd have to be heartwarming, imparts a lot of life lessons.
What's Josh's like?
It's kind of
He's a
Luke-
chess player, but he's also has to have
Oh,
some
what
super
character
part.
is he?
It's
No,
kind
just
of
what if they MCU'd this movie?
Who's
What
the
would it-
best chess superhero player?
Oh, you know who it is? It's Xavier. Xavier and Magneto play chess all the time.
Ooh, that
And
is
it's-
correct.
and-
In the
and-
first
and-
X-Men
and-
movie, yeah.
And
What movie is that?
X-Men. Bill.
X-Men. Not
Hugh Jackman?
that's not about Xavier McDaniel.
No, Charles Xavier, as in the founder
Gotcha.
of the School for Gifted
You're
Youth.
just doing this.
Yeah, you're doing this on purpose.
I also
So,
like chess. I played chess as a kid. My grandpa taught me growing up. I like chess.
trying to think what's the
Chess is
MCU
fun.
I don't know, like what's the MCU version of something like this? Basically a movie where someone blah blah blah. I don't know, bro.
It's a talent with multiple mentors, and it could go either way.
Oh,
and he's-
Spider-Man, easily.
Oh, Spider-Man, yeah, probably.
It's
Spider-Man.
definitely
Oh, yeah,
Tom
Spider-Man.
Holland Spider-Man, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
That motherfucker, any, because he got Doctor Strange, he got Iron Man,
You got Nick Fury.
you got Nick Fury. All
yeah.
the adults are just like, he's a prodigy, but we got to keep him on the right path.
Charles, that's 10 more points for you. You're 520 away from a Rewatchables master
Hell
degree.
yeah.